Hello and good evening, everyone. Welcome to this week's Primetime Gaming with Mr. Boomstick and Friends. And of course, I am your host, Mr. Boomstick XL, and we have an absolutely incredible show for you today. This is going to be, my goodness, could we had not have had so much Xbox breaking news today that it literally broke the internet. I have an outstanding panel. You're going to see some Prey gameplay running in the background for you to enjoy. Let's get into the introduction so we can break down some of these big topics that should run us 2+ hours of the best gaming talk show on YouTube on Monday evenings. And we're going to start with our two of our guests. I'm going to start first with, you know him as the chainsaw wielding, best voice in podcasting, gun toting community member known as Crispy Bomb. Welcome to the show, dude.
Oh, good evening, everybody. Xbox slapping people's knees. I swear the knees are coming just for King David himself. Love the energy going on throughout the community, and it's great to see that, you know, there is a reason and a hype to be an Xbox gamer right now. And you could say we stood on the squares, but the square has been rebuilt, and now it's becoming a mountain or a skyscraper, and it's enjoyable.
Yeah, no doubt about that. I mean, listen, there is a lot to get into tonight. A lot of great Xbox topics. And of course, the party started very early this afternoon at 12 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, where I did a pop-up show. If you missed it, you definitely got to check it out. It was meant to be only a 60-minute show. And it turned out that I just wanted to talk about how In Exile, Obsidian, and of course Bethesda are Microsoft's three-headed monster when talking about Western RPGs. And I think they really have that market cornered with all of the games coming out from those three studios. And then, of course, we had the breaking news of Outriders going into Game Pass day one. You had the headset, the wireless headset, which mine is on the way, should be here tomorrow, is getting incredible reviews. It's just been... And then, of course, they dropped the FPS boost for 5 games. This is one of them. You also had Dishonored, a Definitive Edition, Fallout 76, Fallout 4, and I don't remember the 5th one.
Skyrim?
But yeah, there it is. Skyrim, yes, the special edition of Skyrim 5. So, I mean, it's my God, what a time to be an Xbox gamer. But next up is someone that did a little bit of sniping yesterday during our Halo tournament that, obviously it was the Next Podcast versus the, of course, Double Barrel Gaming. And it was we had a great time. It was a lot of gun-toting violence that went on. We of course, emerged the victors. So we move on to the semifinals where we'll be playing against Green Pass Gaming to get our spot in the finals. And Cotton McCast, we should just call him Sniper Elite, was a part of that. Cotton, welcome to the program, and thanks for taking people's heads off. We appreciate it.
Oh yeah, anytime. I love me some Halo. So I had a blast. It was a lot of fun. Yeah, thanks for having me back on the show too. I know it's been a time to get back, but I'm ready to talk some games, man. The community is thriving right now. So
yeah, it's a very exciting time for Xbox fans, but let's continue down the path of madness, if you will. Next up, he wasn't here last week because he was under the weather. He's back in a big way. Please welcome our Italian brother, Clowns. Welcome to the program.
Hey, what's up, man? It's a pleasure being here. I'm excited. We got a lot of good topics, and Xbox is on fire this week, Boom.
Yeah, it certainly is. And you're already fired up. So we're going to have Clowns at his best. His 100% Clowns is here. Next up, you know him as the loudest man in Canada that's still waiting for a blizzard, and he's not going to get it this because spring is already here. Please welcome Tony Baloney, a.k.a. the middle-aged gamer guy.
Well, good evening, Boom. Good evening, chat and guests panel. Yes, it's a bold strategy, Cotton. We got you in there tonight. We got Crispy Bomb, who I can't seem to get away from. Every podcast I show up, this guy's right there. And anyways, guys, we got a great night. 2+ hours of Nintendo Switch talk, because clearly Microsoft has no news this week. So I really look forward to it, guys. So let's get right into it.
Yeah, all that Nintendo Switch news and no Xbox news. Poor Xbox, right? Next up, you know him as our resident Cape Crusader, who nearly had a Windows update ruin his evening and mess up all of his mics. Welcome to the show, Cybernox.
Hey, glad to be here. Boom. I love Mondays, and this Monday is going to be extra spicy, as you can tell. We got Crispy in the house. We got the hype man, Cotton McCast himself. We got my PTG brothers. It's going to be a good one. But also, have you guys ever heard of something like that goes something a little like this? It goes 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Bethesda Studios on Game Pass. So come on, let's ride to the GameStop around the corner. PlayStation fans sub into this Game Pass, Starfield this gen. They really do want it. That's right, baby. Let's get this show started.
Hey,
Let's go.
And there's nothing wrong with opening the show with a ditty, my friend. So thank you for that. And last and no way least, you know him as someone that is an incredible artist, awesome father, and someone that has big opinions on what's going on in the gaming world. Please welcome back, of course, Everborn Saga.
Hey, how's everybody doing tonight? I am fired up and ready to go.
Well, listen, you were part of today's pop-up podcast this afternoon. You had some big opinions then. You saved some of the fire for tonight. And let's get right into one of these smaller topics while we wait for everyone to file in. You know, last week they had their Bethesda Xbox roundtable, right? And of course, we got a chance to see Phil in a very relaxed state. We got to see, obviously Todd Howard and the rest of the gang talking up Xbox. But it's what happened at the end of that 1 hour conference that we're going to be talking about. And they released a trailer called Welcome Home. And I don't know how many people I got a chance to watch it, but if you didn't, and folks, listen, I'm not even seeing the screen in front of me and I already getting goosebumps. It was one of the most masterful pieces of marketing I think I've seen from Xbox in the last 5 years. I mean, it was so on point. It was so incredible. I've watched it over 4 times and I will watch it again and again and again, because I think that the combination of first party titles like Halo and like Gears and the way that they incorporated the Bethesda games in there, especially when, like, for instance, Baird is talking about camera 15 and it shows like the robot from Fallout, camera 13, and it shows something else. I mean, listen, folks, if that doesn't give you goosebumps, man, I think you got to check your pulse. You're probably dead. Crispy Bomb, let's go to you first because you're one of our guests today. How big of a deal and how incredible was that that commercial called Welcome Home?
Dude, it gave me chills. It's one of those things, like, if you really like the movie Ready Player One, it gave you those vibes.
Mm-hmm.
And the song choice was great. Shame on me, I don't know the name of the song, and obviously we don't want any issues because it's in my head right now, and I don't want to don't want to play it out for everybody, but it's one of those things that you see how they integrated, even the Gears, one of the best parts of the campaign when she goes, "They're here," you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And
Mm-hmm.
and it's one of those things where it's like, being fans of each other for what they do best is exactly what I feel like right now. I feel like that round table, everything sums up exactly. And a lot of people, I'm sure, didn't watch that. And I telling you, go watch it. It's been tweeted out a few times, not quite as much as it probably should have been. So I would look for the end of that. Or even, if you haven't watched the roundtable, definitely watch it. It's really an homage to the greatness that is Bethesda and all the studios that they've brought in, and who they are as a company. And you really see that through the roundtable, and then how Xbox and then came together to make such a great thing. It's an homage to gaming, in my opinion. You know, we have to understand that they all like each other, and this is a good thing. This is when we're going to see some incredible experiences in gaming down the road. And just the feels I got from just that, even these trash, you know, yes, you know, all these things that have happened over the years that have really been trash in our opinion. Even us Xbox gamers been like, you know, this inside Xbox was not good, this and that. I feel like we are going to get some things that you may not have expected, because we always keep our head down and like, well, we're going to keep our expectations low. And now we're going to get something that might blow those low expectations, because we're probably can continue to have those out of the water. And when we have those reactions, I don't want to hear nothing, because I have said this has been lackluster, not the greatest thing many times about, you know, some of the shows that they had, and for them to show that at the end, I mean, that could have been the beginning, and it wouldn't have mattered.
It sure could have. It absolutely
you
could
know
have.
So I just feel like the collaboration of two marketing teams, especially one that's been struggling like Xbox, to have Bethesda in there, and they've been very quiet and they haven't really shown a lot, and they've started to ramp up this. To have them both collaborating now, I think we're going to get a lot more from Bethesda marketing wise than Xbox, and that's exciting for me.
Oh, dude, 100%. I mean, one of the things that's interesting is, again, I don't even think you had to be a fan of Xbox. I don't think you had to be a huge fan of Bethesda. I think that if you looked at that commercial and you see the love and the dedication to to gaming that went into it, you got to walk away and just shake your head and say, you know what? Yeah, man, Microsoft and Bethesda did this right. Like this feels like something special. This isn't just one corporation buying another, individual's, publisher / studio. This seemed like friends. And then, they end that with this incredible video that is just, my God, it was just so superb. That's all I can say. If you missed it, please go check out the Welcome Home video. It is astoundingly good. But Cotton, let's get your opinion on this. Again, this was a commercial that came at the end of the conference. Most people are already starting to tune out. I usually wait for the, we got one more thing, or kind of like the Marvel movies. You're going to get a special ending. What are your thoughts on the Welcome Home trailer?
I thought it was great. I thought it was very well put together. I mean, no matter if you're a big fan of Xbox or Bethesda, if you're a gamer and you watch that trailer, you see one, at least probably two iconic characters, being on the screen together for the first time in a way. And it's huge, dude. The phenomenon that is with Skyrim, like that alone for me is so crazy to see. Like when the Khajiit popped up and he's like, what the hell? What is that thing?
That was so good.
It was just great, dude. It's super cool when you have like the dude and from the Infinite trailer who's like plugging in and rebooting Chief, but it's like making it look as if it's Doom Guy. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So cool. I don't know. I thought it was brilliant and a great way to cap off a show that was very well produced and put together. And you're right, the energy through the whole roundtable was like they're friends. And you have like the moments where it was Todd was saying, we had our issues with Fallout 76, and we had, and someone he would go to right away was Phil Spencer. So they have always they're in the same circles, so it is a friendly environment there. And just to see them be able to now collaborate on a whole nother level is exciting. The trailer though, if you guys missed the trailer, if anyone missed it because you tuned out, shame on you, but go watch it because it's fantastic. Very well put together.
Yeah, absolutely. I agree 100%. Cybernox, let's get your opinion on this, brother. You get a chance to watch the trailer, and what are your thoughts?
Did I get a chance? I must have watched it like 3, 4, 5, maybe even 6 times, man. That thing was amazing. It was really well put together. I think Cotton just touched on it. The way they used each iconic character from all these different franchises and brought them all in, it was perfect. And they used some of their big names too. Like I think it started with or Sea of Thieves, like they were looking, they were looking out far onto the ocean. And all of a sudden, you see, I think it was like a demon, and oh man! But the best transition I liked was when a Cortana goes, "Wake up, Chief," and it cuts to Skyrim, right? And then it's the guy in the back of the wagon, in the beginning again. Ha, you're finally awake, huh? I lost my ish during that part, but man, it was really well done. If it's any indication of both marketing teams working together to make this, and if that's any indication of what we can expect in the future, that's really promising. This trailer, kind of like you, Boom, I wait till the show is over. I don't want to miss out on anything, and for us to have that, the verbiage that they use alongside the whole trailer was fantastic. Everything was on beat. The transitions were like, everything was great. This was like an awesome thing. And then to finish off saying now we're one big Xbox family or something along that line, it was really well done. And and they also had, I mentioned this to you too, they also had like a in case you missed it video, which they put together that was really well done as well. But for this trailer right here, going forward, I just hope that their marketing team, now that's collabing with Bethesda's marketing, I hope they just keep doing stuff like this going forward. But it was really well done.
Yeah, I absolutely agree. And I saw you dropped it into the private chat. I'm going to check that out as soon as the show is done. Mag, let's get your opinion on this.
Yes,
we have all, and I mean all of us, have criticized Microsoft for I don't want to say phoning it in. Sometimes their marketing is a bit of a conundrum, but man, talk about a turnaround. I mean, again, I think Microsoft has been hitting on all cylinders since the 2019 Game Awards. I mean, sure, they've had a few stumbles. Absolutely. All companies do, but it's how you respond from those stumbles that, show your worth. And my God, this commercial was it was so well done. What are your thoughts on it, dude?
Well, yeah, just like everybody else in this panel, I watched it several times. And by the way, Crispy, it's blinded by the lights by my hometown boy, my Toronto hometown boy, The Weeknd. I was super happy to hear about that. He's from Toronto. So anyways, besides that, the actual trailer was absolutely incredible. It was a goosebump inducing situation. You're just watching like these two large families come together. You know what I mean? It's like, like when you watch something like Lord of the Rings, and then all of a sudden they're like, Gondor is lost. And then all of a sudden you see Rohan come in with the horses. It felt like that kind of a moment. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah. And then all of a sudden, Gandalf is like, we're saved, that kind of thing. And it was like the conglomeration of two. Yeah, exactly. It was like the conglomeration of two armies. And then, like the two kings slapping hands together. We're like, let's do this kind of thing. And of course, in this case, it was Doom Guy and Chief. But anyhow, imagine how long, everybody right now, how long they've been waiting for this moment. And I'm not talking September when they announced it. Okay. Now, I spoke to somebody about a year and a half ago. This is well before my podcast days. I'll tell you this. I spoke to somebody very close on the inside, and he told me, he said, the word around Redmond is they are so pumped for next gen that they said they can't wait. They're literally dancing in their shoes because they knew what was coming. Okay. And it's not like it happened overnight. It's not like, Phil leaned over his desk one day and go, hey, Johnson, slap together a trailer by tomorrow, 9 a.m. Oh, and by the way, get Outriders on Game Pass. Get on it. And give me a coffee, 2 sugars. It doesn't happen like that. Okay, this has been going on for years behind the scenes, the talking, the dancing, the courting, so to speak. It's almost like dating, you know what I mean? Like, it's like they've been talking about this for a very long time. Anyways, what I was trying to get at, and you watch it when you watch that whole show and then the trailer, does everybody else feel that giddiness?
Yeah,
like
absolutely.
You see Phil literally almost looks like he wanted to, like, it looked like his head was going to shoot right off of his body like a rocket. He was so excited. I mean, you could barely sit still. Did you see his legs? Like, look at the body language. His legs were back and forth. He's dancing in his chair. Like, he is so pumped. And
you know what? You know what? I wonder if that. You know what? Believe it or not, normally Phil is the one running these things.
Yes.
So he's in there with the hand movements and walking back and forth. And he because obviously Pete Hines was the moderator. I don't think Phil knows what to do with himself.
Oh my god. He looked like he was going to combust into flames. Like he was so excited, but all of them were. And you could even see like everybody there. They were just so pumped. And then you watch this trailer, and then as soon as you watch this trailer, you're like, you feel it too. Like, you know what I mean? Like you felt what they're feeling in that room, what they're feeling, when they're having their conference calls or what they know that's coming and what's going forward. They're pumped, they're jazzed, and they are just charged. Like you can feel that it's like an NFL team ready to charge the field right at the beginning of the Super Bowl. You know, when all the big explosions happen, they come running out in the field. That's what it felt like. And then when I watched that trailer, they conveyed their excitement into me, the viewer, soon to be obviously customer of all these products that are coming out. So anyways, magnificent job. I'm not going to go on about it forever, but I will say this, absolutely magnificent. And if they keep on doing things like this and keep moving forward like this, nothing but sunshine and roses is all I see.
Or as I like to say, unicorns and rainbows.
Or unicorns and rainbows, whatever works.
There you go. There you go. Clowns, let's get your opinion on this. Clowns, you run Four Guys with Quarters. You do an amazing job over there, and you are the master of advertising. You're always hustling to tell people about the podcast. And that's what we love having you here because of the hustle. But just imagine that this Xbox, this video goes out. And I don't think I've come across one person that was like, it was okay. It did nothing for me. Everyone that I have spoken to, that you've seen on Twitter, you've seen on Facebook, you've seen, the only people that we haven't really heard from, and I don't expect much from, I hate to say this, is the mainstream gaming media. I just, they should have been championing this deal, and a lot of them weren't. So it's a little disappointing but it's to be expected. But the community definitely was excited. What were your thoughts on this commercial? Did this get you jazzed?
Yeah, I mean, you know what? This commercial, man, it's like Xbox is going out there and Bethesda's going out there and they're like, yeah, we're together now. We're one family. I mean, just eat it up, everybody. And they put so many iconic characters into this video that how can you not get excited, right? There's something for everybody in this video. It doesn't matter what games you like. There's a character in there somewhere that you probably like a lot, whether it's Gears, Sea of Thieves, Skyrim. There's just, oh my God, there's just so much in this video. It pumps you up. And the way they do it and the music, oh God, boom, I'm so excited.
Well, I mean, listen, Clowns, we love hearing you excited. We, obviously you could be sometimes reserved, but I love this Clowns, and we definitely got to get you back here more often. We got to get you more jazz, and maybe you light a fire or cannoli under your, and we'll get you fired up. But listen, I mean, I agree with you, dude. This is the type of video that I think makes you an Xbox fan. Like, even if you were an Xbox fan at some point, left to go over to hang out with Sony and Nintendo, I think that this kind of marketing gets you excited, and especially when you hear on. And again, this has been a transition of just one home run after another. Thursday, the roundtable event. At the end of that event, during the event, you get the confirmation of what exclusives mean for Xbox and Xbox Game Pass. At the end of the conference, you get this incredible video that gives everyone goosebumps, right? The following day, 20 games, not 2, not 10, 20 of Bethesda's biggest games, boop, right into Game Pass, no problem. Monday comes along, and you're like, well, it's just another Monday. Microsoft already kind of shot their, what, and they bomb us again. Like, it seems to be Monday is the day, and today wasn't just a regular, Outriders in Game Pass, PA. The abundance of news that dropped today, which we're going to get into, and why I think that there may be some panic mode going over on Sony right at this particular moment. It's just, man, what a great time to be a gamer, but more importantly, an Xbox gamer. Let's get Everborn. Everborn, I saved you for last because, of course, you are probably going to have the most to say. And you were on fire today. You completely knocked it out of the park. What were your thoughts? I mean, again, you have your own business. You're looking to push the Everborn saga. You're doing a great job with the Kickstarter. You're getting your word. You're getting the name out there. People are buying your books on Amazon. What were your thoughts as a businessman? How what they were able to put together and the message they were able to give to the world with this one video between Xbox and Bethesda.
Okay, where do I start? Okay, I want to. Before I go into my whole diatribe, I just want to say one thing, and I want everybody to take notice of this. In the last few years, if you were an Xbox fan, whenever there was an event like this, there would always be the precursor to temper your expectations.
Yes.
My friends, that is out of the window. Going forward, I am not tempering shit. Right? That's the level of where we are right now. So I just wanted to get that out of the way. But just if we go back and sort of take a 30,000-foot flight sim view, this one didn't happen overnight, right? I just want to acknowledge that they've been building up to this, and the biggest loss of the Xbox One generation was mind share.
Yeah.
And I think today, not just today, because again, I said this earlier, this is a war of attrition. And little by little, what are they doing? They are knocking out every one of those sort of talking points against the brand and the platform until there is nothing to say but good thoughts. And everyone now, with every announcement, everyone gets closer to the edge of their seat. Holy crap, what are they going to do next? Right?
Yeah.
And that, my friends, that is the magic, right? When you are wondering, when you can't tell what their next move is, mystery is magic in the world that we live in. So I think that we have seen Xbox marketing turn around, but I think with the addition of Bethesda, with the addition of Pete Hines, right? I think that we are going to see something very different. I think we're going to see them do the things that we've wanted them to do. I don't know if you smell it, but I smell 360. Right?
Yeah, I agree.
Right? So those are the vibes I'm getting here. So really, another thing that is sort of not talked about enough, I think, is that part of the reason the Xbox One generation did not go, I think, the way Microsoft wanted it to, is because, and the reason Sony outsold them so much is because they are a worldwide brand. Microsoft, outside of North America and Europe, specifically the UK, they're not very good at distribution and they are not very good at localization. Now, if you know anything about Fallout and Skyrim or just Elder Scrolls in general, they are everywhere. It is in everywhere. And they know about marketing, they know about distribution, and they know about localization. And those are the tenets of a worldwide brand, right? And so when you bring on a publisher, and this is why I think, yes, you'll see the offshoot regular studio deal, but I really feel like from this point out is publishers that can manage themselves and that can bring that sort of expertise to the table. And this is why I think one of the Asian market, or should I say Japanese market specifically, publishers is probably next on the list. Why? They need to crack the Asian market. And even if it is not Japan, the market that they want to crack is Korea, potentially China, if they can get in there. And they will need someone like a Sega. I don't know if they can get Capcom, but someone like a Capcom. People that are experienced in publishing in those markets where they are weak, right? And so to me, this is only the beginning. And I think you are going to see a different Xbox and Microsoft in their clarity, in the way that in their boldness, right? And in their ability to surprise you, right? Everyone right now is giddy, right? Even the biggest Xbox trolls or sort of PlayStation diehards had to put their eyebrows up today. You saw them like, whoa, well, I'm not going to name any names, but there are people who made a whole career out of shitting on Xbox, and they're like, I might have to get this now. What's going on here? And so when that starts to happen, when all the articles are about what are you going to do next, right? That is going to change things in the mind of the casuals to where everybody, because you're starting to see it now. What are you seeing? FOMO.
Yep.
What's going on? Oh, well, I can't miss out on that. And again, it is Bethesda, that deal closed last week, right?
Yeah.
Every 10 minutes this morning, there was some new thing that could have that each one of those items, FPS boost, Outriders, and the reviews on the headset, and all those things could have been a 1 week news cycle. No, they did it all on Monday. And you said it earlier, Microsoft, Phil Spencer, Xbox has people looking forward to Mondays. What'll they do next?
Yeah, absolutely.
That, my friend, is what you call the turn of a tide. So, and I'm not even bringing the PlayStation side of it because I know that's a later topic, but I'm going to pause right there and let's advance because I have a lot more to say.
All right. Well, you know what? Listen, again, this has been a nice easy way to open up the show, right? We talked about the how we all personally felt about the commercial. I think everybody in the chat's been first of all, we got 450 people here. We're only half an hour into the show. That is amazing, folks. If you're new, obviously, I want to say welcome. Consider subscribing to the channel. This is something that I do. I work real hard on these shows. I do 4 live shows a week, sometimes 5, because I dropped a live show this afternoon. I think you're going to dig the content. There's no negativity. There's no finger pointing. We try not to curse on the show. It happens every now and again. We're adults. It happens. No big deal. But this isn't a show about hate. This is a show about celebrating each other as gamers and celebrating the community, which is here in an abundance. So if you're new, welcome. If you're already subbed, man, hit the like button, folks. It don't cost you anything. I won't send you a bill in the mail, I promise. This YouTube algorithm for small channels like mine, that you don't understand how important the thumbs up button means to us, especially when you're a small channel. So if you appreciate the work that goes into this, hit the like button. But I do want to catch up some of the super chats. There's been quite a few of them. And of course, I would feel like a complete heel if I missed any of them. So let me start with Chaos Might, who drops the first very generous $5 super chat of the night. And he says this: Bethesda marketing has been poor for the past few years. Meanwhile, Microsoft has been great. Yeah, you know what? I think they're going to make each other great. I think you're right. I think Bethesda, they kind of had some issues. If you think about Fallout 76, and they kind of had a few stumbles. I think that both of these behemoths are actually going to make each other better in the biggest way possible. CYV Studios drops a very generous $5 super chat and says, "Hey, as a film editor with over 10 years of experience, that trailer was awesome. Mind-blowing, 10 out of 10. Let's go panel, and don't forget about Outriders." Oh no, we have not. And I think that is a big, big deal. I think that there's some underhanding goodness because, of course, we were talking before and, I thought small. I said, maybe Microsoft bought People Can Fly. But then someone in the green room was saying, well, what if they bought Square Enix and I just haven't announced it yet? And this is why. And now the wheels start to turn. I'm like, holy cow. this is they're onto something here. We did hear Square Enix was up for sale and Microsoft was interested. Well, we don't know. I guarantee you they will tell us when the time is right. Oh, my brother from the Iron Lords podcast, Lord Cognito, does a very generous $5 super chat and says, at work, but wanted to send some love to Lord Boom and the fam. Hashtag, oh, I just missed it. Hold on a sec. Cog, let me get you back over here. This chat is crazy. It is going so fast.
The Lord's work.
Yeah, hashtag the Lord's work. Yes, indeed. And like I said, man, can I
the Book of X.
Can I take a second to funnel you over to the Iron Lords podcast? I mean, back-to-back weeks. They had Jason Ronald last week. That Jason Ronald, yeah, the guy that made the Series X, that dude was on their program. 15,000 views. It should be three times that, okay? And of course, they had ACG this Sunday, which was an 4-hour podcast, folks. You want good original quality content, head over to the Iron Lords podcast and give my brother Cognito, King David, and the rest of that crew a sub, because they work real hard each and every week, and they're one of my personal favorite shows, no doubt about that. Baby Hand.
Wait, I'm sorry, Boom. Can I just add one more thing about the Iron Lords? Because I really want to just take the time to shout you and them out. Like, you guys had me on that show, and this is no bullshit, right? Like, whenever there's big Xbox news, I look forward to Sunday just to hear King talk that talk. Every Sunday, I got it on in the background. It's in the car where there's 3-4 hour long show. Like, man, those guys are great. So shout out to Cog, King, Sav, and Addict.
Yeah, it's big shout out to that crew over there. And King David, I mean, listen, he's a left right. He could do stand up, especially when he talks about Phil Dominus Maximus, Aurelius Spencer for sure. Baby Hand drops a very generous $2 super chat and says, "Got my Series S and I'm happy with it. Underrated. Dude, congratulations. Those things are hard to find, and yes, it is an incredible piece of technology. And I got news for you folks. I think that's going to be the best-selling console this fall, if everything that me and Cog and the rest of the crew think is going to happen, what their September, October, November is going to look like. It's going to be complete madness. Black Eye Dog, another generous friend of the show, he drops now, sending $5 super sticker. So let's listen. Let's get the topic 2 here, folks. Let me just make sure that I'm writing down my show notes so I don't get yelled at by anybody in the chat. We are at the 37 mark. Okay, so check this out. We know when you write these shows, right? You know, you gotta put pen to paper, so to speak. And you know, with the confirmation of all Bethesda titles being exclusive to Xbox and PC, meaning no Sony and Nintendo releases unless already contracted, the question that I have, and this is a simple question, but I think it's going to have a very complex answer from the chat and, of course, the very large panel, is Jim Ryan of PlayStation in crisis mode? And folks, I kind of think he might be. Now, when spoken aloud, right, titles like Fallout, Elder Scrolls, Doom, Wolfenstein, Dishonored, and so many others finding a home at Xbox, that is a large gaping hole. And when you add that Microsoft is actively looking to add additional studios to the already stacked 23 first-party studios, along with, of course, 35 development teams, Sony PlayStation is looking like it might be in a little bit of trouble. Now, obviously, the question that I have is, what is Jim Ryan's next move? Can Sony respond with their own Bethesda-level acquisition and counter what Microsoft is doing? And I want to start with Cotton McCast. How does Sony respond?
Oh, man. That's a tough question. I mean, something on the level of Bethesda is escaping my mind. You know, I mean, if somehow they were to do something with it, if they had the money to do something with Capcom or someone, I don't know, who's as big as Bethesda in my mind right now, how they respond is if they can somehow manage to keep pumping out the fantastic games that they've pumped out over the last gen, but at a higher rate, you know, more frequently, that would definitely be an answer. Is that possible for them without making an acquisition? You know, that remains to be seen. I think personally that Sony's might have a little stress, but I don't think they're completely panicked as they probably should be in some people's eyes. But you never know. It's a big deal. It's a lot of games and a lot of like well-renowned games that Xbox has just got their hands on. It kind of changes the whole Xbox has no games statement to Xbox has your games now. You know what I mean? So I don't know. I feel like Sony normally has something up their sleeve where it just depends on what it is and if it's on the same level or not. Panicked. I don't know if they're panicked, but he's got some dance moves. We'll see what they got.
Yeah, I mean, listen, who knows at this point what they're going to do? I put it to this way, we're going to get into a second. The second half of the show is whether or not Game Pass is going to show up on PlayStation, and I don't think it. Again, I'll save my answer. But I think it's going to be a very, very. I don't think it's divided. I think we're all going to be on the same page. But I'll tell you what, man. If Microsoft keeps making these acquisitions, they're going to come a point where the industry, even like the diehard Sony players, are going to have to take notice.
Right, it's undeniable.
Yeah, I mean, there's just no doubt about that. And I mean, again, when you take an Outriders, now again, I want to stress this: Outriders is a AAA release. Now, you may personally not think so. Maybe it doesn't fall into what you consider a AAA release, but it's obviously made by People Can Fly, right? They're a great studio. On top of that, you have Square Enix doing the publishing for that. That's a big deal, folks, right? That is a really, really big deal. So you turn around and you take that information and you somehow equate that to a day one release into Game Pass. Folks, this is what Phil Spencer talked about those years ago. If you remember when he got up on stage and talked about Xbox Game Pass and said that we're working with third-party developers to get some big games in there. These kind of deals take time. And I think that a Square Enix saw the potential of Game Pass. I think that the Avengers, snafu might have scared them into, we got to get this game into as many hands as possible, especially because it's a multiplayer game. Who knows what the reason is? But I can tell you this, that's a big, big deal. And again, Sony isn't doing that. They just don't have the infrastructure to do that. Hell, their own first party games are only in PS Now for 3 months, and then they boot them out, which is ridiculous. Mag, let's get your opinion on this. Mag, this is a question that I don't know if we're going to be able to answer tonight, but I'm interested to hear where your thought process is. Yeah. With everything going, I mean, right now, everything is green for Xbox. And of course, it's emerald green, but not so much for Sony. Mm-hmm. What do you think Jim Ryan's thought process, and is he in crisis mode?
That's a really tough question. That's almost got me tongue-tied because I don't know how to answer that properly. And I know that sounds funny coming from me. The guy doesn't know what to say all of a sudden, right? But I got to tell you something. It's got to be one hell of a conundrum over there. And the thing is, you have to also think for half a second. You would imagine that they kind of know what's going on, but they somehow don't seem to know what's going on. Because even, what was it, like 5 months ago, Jim Ryan's like, I don't know if those games are coming. So, I mean, if he doesn't know, who the hell knows, right? You know what I mean? So, like, it's not like the coffee boy knows, but like, sir, Skyrim is, or Elder Scrolls 6 is coming. Like, he doesn't know. So the point is this. If they don't really know what's going on, and I would imagine that Xbox is not going to be sharing this information with them. They're not going to be sending off memos to Sony saying, by the way, we're keeping this, you guys can have that. They're not going to say anything. They spent that FU money to do what they want to do on their terms. And because of that, that is what they call in the business world a power move. Okay, so what they did is they took your hand and they turned it around the other way. Now your hand is on top. You know what I mean? So what's going on right now is that Sony's got a situation. And out of curiosity, what I did is I looked up, like, let's just take prices, for example. Okay, you talk about these games going into Game Pass and everything else. I went to the PlayStation Store earlier today just to look because of this particular topic that we're talking about tonight. And I looked up a few games. Now, listen to this, guys. Okay, this is nuts. I went in the PlayStation Store. These are discounted, by the way, some of them. Star Wars Squadrons is $55 US. I'm just going to use US, okay? Just because, I assume that most people are listening to this from the US. Now, Star Wars Squadrons is $55. It's in Game Pass.
Yeah.
FIFA 21 right now is still $80 on the PlayStation Store. It's going into Game Pass if it's not already there. I can't remember if it went in there.
I actually think it's there.
It's there now. Okay. Madden 21.
21, I don't think it's there yet.
No?
Oh, okay. I think it's coming very soon. Anyway, I think that's what I heard.
Maybe I get
Madden
Football
21.
Manager was in there. Yeah.
That's the one. Sorry. Okay. But FIFA 21 is not going to be far behind. Madden 21 is in there. That's still $80.
Wow.
That's your whole year of Game Pass. Okay? Put that in perspective, guys. Now, I'm talking about this not from a hardcore point of view, from a casual gamer, okay, who plays, let's say, maybe one Star Wars game a year, maybe a Call of Duty, and a sprinkle of FIFA and Madden, or maybe NHL or something, right? You just paid for Game Pass with 3 games, one of them discounted. Okay, so that you put that in perspective. Now Sony has to look at that. It may not happen right away because it takes a long time. Boom, you've said this a million times before on a million podcasts. You can't turn a big ship, on a dime. Okay, so now Sony is in the position of having to turn the big ship. Microsoft's been turning that ship for 4 years, 5 years, however long it's taken to get to this point where now they're calling the shots. Sony's got to start turning the ship because now I would think that their antiquated business practices are done. Because people are going to start to wake up. I know this sounds really melodramatic, but guys, hear me out. People will be done. Who's going to go buy Outriders for $80 right now, or for whenever it comes out in a few weeks, when you could get it in Game Pass? Why would you buy Madden 22, let's say, coming up, okay, or FIFA 22, or whatever Star Wars game is coming? And that's another thing, guys. I'm not buying Battlefield. One of the biggest games I've waiting for all year, third-party games, besides Resident Evil 8, is Battlefield 6. I ain't buying it. You know why? I got a feeling. Okay? I got a feeling. Thank you, Black Eyed Peas. That, you know what? Let me tell you something. I have a feeling Battlefield 6, hey, man, you guys, you never know. Would any of you a month ago thought that Outriders were going to show up in Game Pass? I didn't think so.
No.
Not a chance in hell. But now, and I think Everborn said it in his last section there, you don't know what these guys are going to do. Like, you just don't know. Like, it's unbelievable that, like, you don't know what's going to come next is what I was getting at. You don't know their next move is. Their next move could be major. It could be small, but they just all seem to be big. And I think they've been waiting for these moments to get this avalanche going. So, like, I bet you any money, watch that Battlefield 6 will show up in Game Pass day one. You watch. I might be wrong, but you never know. So there's that. So are people going to start, the Sony players are going to start going, what the hell are we doing? Why am I spending $700, let's say for a hardcore, okay? Because if a hardcore will buy, let's say, whatever exclusives they come that year, let's say about 2, okay? 2 or 3 exclusives that you're going to buy. Okay, and then all of a sudden you buy a couple of multiplats, right? Like, let's say your Call of Duties, your Battlefields, whatever. You're already talking $500, maybe $600. Now, Microsoft, $180 or $150 or whatever you can get a deal on.
Dude, now you wait for Black Friday and you can probably pick it up for half price.
Exactly.
I had a friend of mine buy 2 years that cost him the price of 1 year.
Well, there you go. Okay, so now you start looking at that. What's going to happen is the casual players who make up 80%. We all know this. Make up at least about 80% of the market out there for gamers. Okay. They're going to start going, what are we doing? Who's going to keep buying these games? So now this is where Sony's got to go, oh, crap. Guys, we got to figure this out. So what they're going to do, they're going to have to do something. They cannot keep going the same route. Now, the other thing is, though, now here's the other quadruple edged sword here. The other situation is that, yes, Sony makes, to date, we don't know how things are going to go in the future. To date, the best first-party games in the business, better than Nintendo, in my opinion. I think Sony makes the best first-party exclusives in the business. Easily. Okay, no. I'm playing Days Gone.
I'm saying easy on the best in the business.
Oh, come on, man. I'm playing Days Gone now. Everybody said it sucks. I'm crying over here. I got tears. Because I'm like, oh, come on, man.
Don't come at my guy Link. That's all I'm saying.
For the love of God. Talk to Rand. See what he thinks about Nintendo. Anyways, in all seriousness, they make the best first party games in the business. But the thing is, how long are they going to keep going when Microsoft starts releasing games of the same caliber for nothing? And I mean nothing. I mean, like, in the terms of the price of Game Pass, because when Elder Scrolls 6 comes out, I'm not going to rhyme off every game. You guys know it's coming out, okay? And Avowed and Fable and all this other stuff. When they're coming out on a service for $15 a month, and then Sony's releasing the same caliber, okay, let's assume that they're same caliber, but they're charging $80. So at the end of the day, you're paying quadruple what you would be paying on the Xbox. I'm sorry, they're going to have to do something. And I don't know what it is. No one says that they got to do their PlayStation Now and turn it into a Game Pass. I don't think that they're going to do that. They're going to have to figure something else out. As for what they're going to do, I'm not going to lie to you guys. I have no idea what they're going to do. But I would not want to be in that boardroom sitting there going, guys, we need to fix this and figure this out, because not now, not next year, but in about 2 years from now, they're going to have to deal with this, because otherwise they're going to get bowled over by Microsoft, excuse me. By the way, that's another thing. Sorry, I didn't want to keep rambling here, but you know what? Another interesting thing. Have you noticed that all the heads now of Xbox don't call Game Pass Xbox Game Pass anymore? Do you see how they're changing the branding? They're literally just calling it Game Pass.
Game Pass. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
And I noticed that because now all of a sudden they were calling it Xbox Game Pass, Xbox Game Pass, Xbox Game Pass. Now you got Greeny, you got Phil, you got all these other guys. They're all just saying Game Pass. And I noticed it and I'm going, whoa, what's going on?
You didn't hear my intro song? Come on. I said Game Pass too, baby. Come on.
I know. I try not to listen to you singing. But anyways, the point is,
man, my feelings.
I think that what's happening is they're rebranding the situation, and the Game Pass juggernaut, if you're not on board, you're going to get run over, or you're going to have to become a niche market. You're going to have to become a niche product, because I don't know where this is going to go. I don't know what they're going to do. But when you're looking at these two kind of prices, which I just laid out for everybody right now to look at, I'm sorry, there is no competition. So people will open their eyes to it, because there are savvy consumers out there. It's been a rough year for the world, okay, financially, emotionally, everything, because of this whole pandemic situation, everything else. When people start to come out of that situation, no one's throwing money, making it rain. They got to start rebuilding their lives, a lot of families and stuff like that. So this is a serious situation. So anyways, as for what they do, I have no idea, but I am super eager to find out what their game plan is going forward.
You know, I'll say this, again, I don't want to get too far off topic, but you take a game like Returnal. I talked about this on today's pop-up podcast that happened at noon. Returnal is by Housemarque. Now, if you're not a Sony fan, maybe you don't know who Housemarque is. I think I love the developer. I think that it is almost a crime against humanity that Sony hasn't acquired them and made them officially first party, which is still it's a conundrum for sure. But they have a game coming out. Obviously, Returnal is the game. The problem with Returnal is that we don't know a lot about it. We finally saw a trailer at the the so-so Sony event to start the year. I didn't think it was the greatest event. I think it was terrible. Gave it a 6 out of 10 for me personally. Here's the problem. The problem is that Returnal is a new IP, right? It's a new IP that costs $77 here in the United States after tax. Are you going to pay $77 for an unknown IP? No, you're not. You're not going to do that. You are going to try the game if it was in Sony's, greatness pass, but it's not, because they don't have that. Now, let me just kind of flip it over for a second and get the people, stoke the fires. We're an hour, just under an hour into the show. We have almost 650 people here. Let me stoke the fire, get you guys all fired up. This is what I think September and October, November looks like for Microsoft in Xbox Game Pass. And mind you, I'm not talking about Scorn and The Ascent and the other 21 other games that are coming into Game Pass that are going to be bangers on their own. I'm talking about AAA bombs. This is what their 90-day routing, if you will, of the industry is going to look like. September, we're getting Forza Horizon 5. October, we're getting Starfield. And in November, we're getting Halo Master Chief Collection. Now, think about that. Now, again, I don't know that for sure. I haven't called Phil. He hasn't called me back. Maybe. I'll know by the end of the day. But if that comes to fruition, folks, that will be one of the most incredible 90 days Microsoft has had with first party in nearly a decade, right? We talk about the 7 years. And again, I'll be the first one to tell you, all of their first party stuff, I loved it and beat it all. Loved it. And I would love to see as many of them come back. But it's been a while since they've had one AAA bomb after another. If what I'm saying comes to fruition, and that September, October, November levies Forza Horizon 5, Starfield, and Halo Infinite, and again, we don't know what Sony's going to do. I have a feeling that because most of their games are mo-capped, let's call a spade here, folks. That industry was crippled for over a year. I don't even think Horizon, the Forbidden West, hits this year. I think it misses its mark. And if that's the case, we know Gran Turismo's been delayed. All we have, right, if you're a Sony fan, and I'm a fan, is Returnal and Ratchet and Clank. That's it. We don't know what's going on with Sony. And if Microsoft could somehow get those 3 games, oh my God, what a year would be for Xbox. On top of a year, they announced that they own Bethesda now. It's just bananas. So all of that combined tells me that yes, Sony is in crisis right now. More specifically, Jim Ryan. But let's get Cyber on this. Cyber. The question is simple, but I think it's a very thought perplexing answer that you're going to have. Is there a crisis going on at PlayStation right now, and should PlayStation fans be concerned?
A crisis, I'm not sure, but concerns, absolutely. To an extent, right? I think Sony is a beast. I think I'm with Mag on this when they say it's something. There's something about Sony's first party studios that they just knock it out of the park. The quality is there by far, one of the best in the business, right? So they rely on their first party for a long time. They'll rely on their first party so they can, maybe get to this hurdle. So let's say if they do release Forbidden West out, this year, but when is enough subscribers to Game Pass gonna start to worry them, right? How far ahead are they gonna get on Game Pass for Sony to maybe think, hey, maybe the tides are switching here and we need to have a solution to something like Game Pass? Now we're gonna have all of Bethesda's maybe all of Bethesda's first party or future games going exclusive to wherever Game Pass is available, right? And I don't know if they're panicking yet, but they're definitely trying to figure out a solution where they can keep their fan base happy. Now, is that solution only, putting out kind of like what Jim Ryan alluded to before, smaller games, but quality games, right? I think he mentioned before something like, oh, we want to try to put more games out, but a smaller game rather than a 40-hour experience, right? With that said, Game Pass, the more I think I mentioned this on the podcast before as well, a couple of weeks ago, the more you allow people to look at your competition, they may look a little, look and stay over there. The more you let PlayStation fans keep Xbox or Game Pass grab their attention, the more appealing it might seem to them. And then they're going to start questioning it, especially like with Outriders. Why am I going to pay $70, $80, $100, whatever it is the case, on another platform when I can get it right here for literally $10 a month, or $10 for the first month just so you can try the game, Jim Ryan, I think if it was up to him, he was their CFO. He understands the money and he wants to just, make money pretty much for the company. I think if it was up to him, it's gonna reach a time where it's either he's gonna have to potentially do something similar to Game Pass, or he's just gonna say, "Hey, let's talk about how we can put Game Pass here on PlayStation." Because I think if he were to say something like that, I think Phil would totally be open. Will be open to it. He would sign that deal in a heartbeat. So I'm not sure if Panic is. I'm not sure if they're panicking yet, but there are certainly some concerns, I would say, over at Sony looking at this deal, because kind of like what Cotton mentioned earlier, I don't think they have the capital to pull off a big move like a Bethesda move. I'm not sure if they have the capital for that.
I don't think that they do.
So, but that does leave room for double A studios, and more in the smaller studios that could, are very talented as well, for Sony to go ahead and scoop them up. And just to go a little bit further, this is what we, the consumers, the gamers, the fans, this is what we want from both platforms, or it doesn't matter what platform you want. You want this level of competition, because that's what's going to do is, who's going to win on this? We are, this level of competition. You see Microsoft pulling all the bells and whistles for the Xbox fans. This is going to in turn have Sony have to turn around and do something to combat that, to answer for that. So either way, if we don't hear anything from Sony within, I would say, this year, in regards to what Game Pass is doing and all of Bethesda's games, or future games, I should say, going exclusively to where Game Pass is allowed, I don't know, man. It's going to be interesting to see what's going to happen.
I agree, and again, we don't really know. But Crispy, I want to get your opinion on this. Look, I say Crisis, and I don't think he's he's having a conniption or a breakdown in any way. But at some point, he has to realize that maybe the sleeping giant that they didn't pay attention to just woke up. And look, again, I don't know if and we're going to get into it in the second topic of the show, whether or not Xbox actually shows up there. But man, I mean, listen, I get it. Sony makes great first party games. There's no doubt about it. I mean, listen, I talk about their first party games all the time. I love them all. I love them for exactly what they are: story driven, narrative focused, adult themed, over the shoulder third person games. That's what Boom likes. They're single player. I enjoy them. I enjoy the story and the characters that come to each one of these games. But we also have to take into account that sometimes these games take 5 and 6 years to come out. And right now, Microsoft with 23 studios and 35 teams, and they're being very aggressive in the third party games coming to Xbox Game Pass, as well as all of the second and third party deals that we don't know about. I think Sony might be behind the eight ball. What are your thoughts on this?
Tinfoil hat time, people. Here we go. Number one, Sony has consolidated a lot of their things. All of their revenue and everything else is going into one funnel at this point. Number two, they moved their studios, their main aspect of their entire gaming aspect to California. Number three, they have literally alienated their own market, which is Japan, because I see it, and I like I say, I follow a lot of people on Twitter and everything else, and I have to do the translate and all that, but they are not happy. Okay. Also, I will rewind for you real quick. When I originally started podcasting, I said the problem with Sony is they have been ignoring multiplayer games. They have been absolutely ignoring them. Like, you're going to gain revenue from just releasing a game and selling 20 million when you have 150 million consoles out there. You are not going to do that. You have to gain money from other means, especially with the amount it costs to make a game nowadays. Also, the Bethesda acquisition. Most of Bethesda's games up until like 76, and if you go into, you know, the mobile games and Elder Scrolls Online, most of them are single player. That's another thought process. Not only that, Xbox has already had multiplayer games that have been great, even when it didn't matter. Like a Gears, like a Halo, like a Forza now. Okay? What you have to understand is that gamers are competitive, number one. Number two, competitive against an AI only goes so far. The only way it's really logical is if you're playing a Destiny, a Division, something where you have more points or you end up carrying the team. And that's still multiplayer. You bring a game like Outriders in there, okay, which is basically a different clone of the same game. It's taking a Gears, a Destiny, a Division, and whatever else you want to call it into the same realm in one game. And this is, you know, published by Square Enix, and they just let it happen. They already know where the multiplayer gamer is, or they would have not done that. Also, I believe if they didn't get paid a shit ton of money to do this, they might have been bought.
Yeah.
And I only say that because Square Enix is in bed with Sony. They are in bed. You can't play games that Square Enix has developed or even published or both on Xbox because they're exclusive, at least timed, on PlayStation. There is an issue going on in PlayStation right now because they alienated the people that they have developed for years. They're just basically dissolving Japan studios. They have moved their major development studios into America, yet you have the largest RPG, Western RPG gaming aspect owned by Xbox at this point. You have a problem, and you have given us lackluster multiplayer if they're not timed, or you call them exclusive games on your side. While Xbox has been doing this forever, and they know when there's fire sitting there for a multiplayer game, like Outriders, for example. Might not be everybody's cup of tea, but if it's 20 million's cup of tea, they're going to be happy with that because they're going to be constantly in that game.
Yeah,
that
I agree.
Brings engagement to Game Pass. Now, you want to solve the problem, Sony. Here's what you do. You actually develop games that have a great single player and multiplayer aspect. You stop doing that after the SOCOMs, the Killzones, you know, at least 1 and 2, all these games. You have to bring both aspects involved. Number 2, you either make PlayStation Plus or PlayStation Now your realm, and you make that your realm. I would say Plus, not Now, because Now just doesn't have the engagement. You just basically say, now you are a part of Plus. We are going to release our games day and date. Our exclusive games will be day and date. Because I have seen companies dissolve, and it starts with what we're seeing right now. And I do not want to see that, by the way. What I'm saying is that the writing's on the wall, and they've ignored Xbox, and Xbox has been investing in different parts to build the foundation for a much bigger thing. And PlayStation's been sitting there like, oh, we have all these consoles sold. But until like a certain point, you're not making money off those consoles. On top of that, your entire infrastructure of making movies at this point has been destroyed by this pandemic. They are reeling at this point. You can't even buy a movie on PlayStation coming up.
Yeah.
So
Hey, Crispy.
there's a problem, and I'm afraid. I do not want. Well, I trust Xbox to do the right thing because they have Game Pass, and that still looks logical. But I do not want a monopoly when it comes to my big AAA exclusives. I don't want that ever. And you know what? I'm not going to sit here and say I will never buy a PlayStation 5. You know what I'm saying? But my point is that they have ignored long enough, and they need to do something really spectacular for their gaming community because they're still there. They still pay attention. They still might only have a PlayStation 4 or a PlayStation 5. You need to say, you know what? Our exclusives are coming day and day. And I think that will help them tremendously. And Boom will continue to get the games that he loves. And the games that I haven't played, especially through the PlayStation 4 generation, I get to enjoy on a PlayStation because that's the way it should be.
I mean, you make a lot of great points. I don't know. I mean, look, I'll tell you this. With Jim Ryan's comments, where he came out and said that the PlayStation gamers are not enough to continue funding these big AAA games that are, he said it, upwards of $50 million to make. Some of these games are on the level of film. There's no doubt about that. So that's why a lot of these games are going to PC, because the PC market has millions and millions of players that maybe don't want to buy a PlayStation 5 or a PlayStation 4. You do have a master race there that just wants to play games, and that's why games like Horizon Zero Dawn did very well.
And a lot of people, I just want to point this out. A lot of people ignore what he said, but that's during them supporting PlayStation 4 and PlayStation 5, but also have over 100 million consoles out there. And he said that. So think about that for a second.
Yeah. Well, I mean, again, if you look at the ratio between how many of the quote unquote 120 million consoles equate to their first party, the only one that jumps off the page, and there's a couple of them, God of War sold very well. Let's just say 20 million that they sold for God of War. I think Spider-Man, it was originally like 20. I would dare say they're probably closer to 25 for Spider-Man, right? But that's not all their games. You know what I'm saying? They have to sell 5 million copies of said game just to break even. And if they don't sell 5 million copies, then obviously they're in a bit of trouble. Everborn, you know what? Before I get to you, Everborn, let me grab Clowns. Clowns, are you there, brother? Okay,
I'm
maybe.
here.
Okay, so let's get your opinion on this. Is there a crisis going on at Sony after this Bethesda deal? Is Jim Ryan trying to figure out what the next move for Sony is?
Well, I think that there certainly is some concern there. Is it a crisis? Are they in crisis mode like SOS 911? I don't think so. However, I think they see the writing on the wall that Xbox from here is only going to get bigger. Like, they know that Xbox Game Studios is not done purchasing other studios and looking for acquisitions. So Sony is probably going to try to funnel as much cash as they can to grab something or try to make a deal with something so that Xbox doesn't take it. Because if Xbox keeps expanding Xbox Game Studios, Sony is going to have a huge problem in the fact that they're going to get to a point where their fans are going to want certain games on their console. Like, I'm sure there's huge Bethesda fans on Sony consoles, right? But they're going to have to allow Game Pass on their consoles if they don't start acquiring studios themselves. There's no way around it, because how many times can you keep playing a single player experience and then all of a sudden all these third-party titles are getting bought up, right? And they're going in the Game Pass ecosystem, in the future. So yeah, Sony's got some problems, and they need to actually put some money out there and acquire something besides Insomniac and whoever else they've acquired. But man, I'm telling you, I've had a feeling that I would not be surprised if Xbox grabs Square Enix or Capcom or Sega and Atlas right out of Sony's hands, because I'm just telling you right now, if they got Capcom or Sega Atlas, that's a huge market in Asia. And that's a big problem for Sony, because Sony's got a big base over in Europe and Asia. And just for example, Boom, I'm going to tell you this, right? So one of my buddies that lives in Europe, Belgium, all his friends have PlayStations. All of them. They all prefer PlayStation. They even traded their Series X's in because they waited for a PlayStation 5 to come in. But now one of them called him up and said, you know what? This Bethesda thing's a big problem. I'm not going to be able to play future Bethesda titles outside of the Xbox ecosystem, and I don't know when Sony's going to allow Game Pass on it. And I love Skyrim, and I love Fallout. This is a problem. Yeah. And he's like, now I got to go get an Xbox because Sony hasn't given us any direct confirmation if they're making any deals to get Game Pass, or if they can get news from Bethesda which titles are going to be available and which aren't. And that's the key that Microsoft's holding. They don't have to tell Sony beforehand. They can keep this a secret at the very last minute. And then they can be like, you know what? The next Elder Scrolls after this one, no, that's going to be Xbox ecosystem only. Future updates to so-and-so, Xbox ecosystem only. And Starfield was very hyped up, and it's looking more and more like every day I'm going to owe Brandon Kid Smooth because it looks like that's going to be exclusive to the Xbox ecosystem.
Let me just help your point real quick, clowns. Todd Howard back in the Bethesda conference after, he was questioned on that, and he could not confirm that it would come to Starfield itself, would not confirm to come to every single console and PC. So he could not confirm that, and he kind of beat it around the bush like 100 times. If you actually go look at that, I don't remember who interviewed him, but I was like, whoa, wait a second. Like this, they could have been talking about this, because actually he said himself that Starfield has been basically trademarked since 2013. Think about that.
Well, something else. Here's a great point as well. And I don't know who, it might have been Paris Lilly from the XCast actually said this, if I'm not mistaken. If Starfield was going to be available on the PlayStation 5, Jim Ryan would have come out right after this conference and be like, "Take it easy, folks. Starfield coming to PlayStation 5 soon, but it's not an exclusive." They would have said something. He couldn't say anything.
Did the same thing when they showed the Resident Evil Village trailer at the Sony show, because they knew they were getting it, and they put the trailer right on the Xbox YouTube channel and said it. That's standard operating procedure. If you know you're getting the game, you don't want the mind share going to other places. So you would say something.
Yeah, no doubt about that. Listen, let me catch up with some of these super chats. There's been a lot of them. So like I said, I'd feel like a heel if I miss any of them. Hold on just a second. Let me just rewind this. Wow, there's a lot of them. Okay, hold on just a second. Okay, so I'm pretty sure I'm up to date with this. Eagles fan 76 drops an outstanding $2 super chat and says, next gen CD Cyberpunk 2077 fixed, going to Game Pass. I'm predicting. You know what, dude? I wouldn't doubt that. I mean, they have the marketing. Raw89 drops a very generous $2 super chat and he says, Stalker 2 this summer. Yeah, dude, Stalker 2 looks dope, and I hope that does come out this summer. That's going to be awesome. Sikio Yumi drops a very generous $2 super chat and says, 5 months unlimited Game Pass is better than one PlayStation 5 game, and I would be very hard pressed to disagree with that statement. You just got to look at the value proposition. Raw89 drops an additional very generous $5 super chat and says, if Sony doesn't deliver HFW, which I believe is Horizon Forbidden West, and or God of War this year, Xbox is running away with 2021 Game of the Year, and that's going to skyrocket Xbox hype and momentum. Oh, indeed it would. No doubt about that. Plus that's going to incorporate into sales. Now, again, Microsoft has been very clear. Will they be happy if you buy a console? Sure, of course they will. They sell an S. The S exists for the casual audience. The X is for the hardcore. I mean, that's the reality, right? But they don't care where you play. If you want to play on your phone, your tablet, your pewter, and later on this summer, your TV, no one cares. As long as you pay your $15 a month, Microsoft is happy. Reggie Mobile 9, another generous friend of the show, he drops an outstanding $5 super chat and says, year 2023. Oh, hold on a sec. Where are you there? This chat is really wow. I mean, there is a lot going on here. Holy cow. 650 people here. Folks, hit the like button while I find my goodness. It's going crazy when I can't.
Hey, Boom. If this is Reggie, I can read it for you. I got it.
Yeah, I got it. It's year 2023, okay. And Game Pass is putting out a AAA a game per quarter from all of their studios. Sony cannot compete with that. I agree. They cannot compete with that at all. It's not feasible, folks. You just have to do the numbers. I think Sony has 15 first-party studios. I might be off one or negative or positive. Let's say they have 15 first-party studios, right? Their games are usually 5 years worth of development per title, right? We know sometimes even more so than that. If Microsoft with their 23 and 35 teams, the numbers are there. I'm a numbers kind of a guy. They just cannot compete. Microsoft may be in a position, and this is crazy. We talked about this on the Xbox Factor podcast a couple of weeks ago. They actually might have so many games, they're going to have to wait on releasing some of them because they can't drop all of them in at one. They're just not going to be able to do that. Dan Lazaro drops a very generous $5 super chat, and he says this: even if PlayStation starts their own Game Pass, can they actually compete with the Bethesda purchase, Fallout, Elder Scrolls, and all the other RPGs they own? No, I don't think that they can. And I think that's why I think they're in crisis mode. Shane Piper drops a very generous $5 super chat and says this: do you guys think that with Phil's focus on Japan, that he would pour resources into Tango Gameworks and create a second team there? I don't doubt it at all. Japan is big for Phil. And what's interesting is they already have the Western RPG market cornered. That's the end of the story. You can't even bring anything to my table, and we didn't even count Fable in there. OPS, by the way, and potentially Hellblade 2, which might be an open world RPG. We don't know, right? So they have the Western market, but rest assured, Phil wants to have a presence in Japan. And if you can get some big time JRPGs to come to Xbox, more specifically Xbox Game Pass, my God, you are talking some big numbers in that region of the world where Microsoft has in many, many years past failed terribly. Let's see. We have X Burke drops a very generous $5 super chat and says, I'd love to see Sony's transition as Xbox has out of necessity. It would make it better for everyone in the long run. Listen, they all say that competition breeds greatness. And the reason why Microsoft is currently dominating in every facet of gaming is because they got their ass handed to them in the last generation. I mean, that's a reality, folks. They got their teeth kicked in. And you know what? Remember, I don't know how many older guys are in the chat. Do you remember the old comic books on the back page had the kid getting sand kicked in his face? You know what I'm talking about there, Mag.
Yeah.
And then the summer goes by and he comes back and he's this big beefy dude and he beats up the bully. Yeah. That's Microsoft. Yeah, that is Microsoft. Yeah, only old timers know what I'm talking about. Infinite AA drops a very generous $5 super chat and says the Bethesda deal was big for Xbox. Xbox isn't going to stop until they steal more and more mind share, and they shouldn't stop. Yeah, I 100% agree. Stitch 6669 drops a very generous $5 super chat and says, well, if we go by Phil's desk ornaments, I say that the next big one is either Konami or Kojima related thoughts. Oh yeah, they're working with Kojima right now. That's a fact. Clowns, anything else you want to add to your point, or so I can bring in Everborn, or you're good?
No, I just want to say that, the only thing that PlayStation has is PS Now, and that's nowhere compared to the level that Xbox is at with Game Pass, and that's because PlayStation just doesn't care.
Nah, I don't know if they care. I got some stats that I'm going to read about whether or not Xbox Game Pass shows up on Sony, but Everborn, listen, from a businessman to a businessman, Microsoft is making all the big moves, but more importantly, all the right moves. And I think that early on, listen, I'm not saying that the PlayStation is going to package shit up and go home. The PlayStation 5 is a great console. And I'm not saying that because I support all three consoles. I really enjoy what I've played on the PlayStation 5, but if you look at what they have coming out 2021, the pickings are slim, whereas Microsoft has set themselves up to dominate. And of course, this Bethesda deal really just puts the mind share back in the favor of Microsoft. I mean, no one remembers the Xbox $120 a year, Xbox Live Gold thing anymore, right? Do you remember that happened? Well, people were like, yeah, whatever, Bethesda, right? So, Everborn,
Listen,
is Sony in crisis mode?
All right. I'm gonna read a passage to you that you're gonna think is from the Book of X, but it is actually from pushsquare.com.
Okay.
I just want you to listen to this. This is from one of their writers, Sammy Barker. It's hard not to look over the fence and feel a few pangs of jealousy. While PlayStation has a comparatively loaded slate of upcoming software, Microsoft is making big moves that threaten to disrupt the status quo. We've seen it complete its acquisition of Bethesda, effectively dwarfing Sony's first-party operation, while its Game Pass initiative, regardless of financial viability, is making games like Returnal look like daylight robbery in comparison. PS Plus, to Sony's credit, is an outstanding value right now, but as time moves forward, PlayStation is going to need to react. And I just want to do one more paragraph. Frankly, the Bethesda thing has changed the game, and while we don't expect Sony to roll over and let its tummy be tickled, it's going to need to invest. The strength of the Japanese giant's first-party studios is not up for debate, and the pipeline continues to be among the best in the industry. But with Japan studio shutdown, media molecules seemingly tethered to the largely unpopular Dreams, and Sony San Diego making MLB The Show for multiple platforms, the formerly unstoppable PlayStation Studios is beginning to look a little light. It's really hard to criticize the platform holder for banging out Game of the Year nominees on an annual basis, but the blockbuster games are taking more time to develop than they ever have before. Can Insomniac Games, Guerrilla Games, Sony Santa Monica, Sony Bend Studios, Sucker Punch, and Naughty Dog carry the burden of the first-party development alone? I don't know. So I'm going to leave it there. You guys can check out that article, Sammy Barker on pushsquare.com. That is a Sony-driven website. Now, yeah. I want to say another. So the writing, the veil has been uplifted. People are taking the red pill, so to speak, right? And so I want to say first 3 words: adapt or die. That is going to be the difference, and that is good for all of us, because Sony will have to fight for our dollars as they had in the beginning of the PlayStation 4 generation and as they did at the end of the PlayStation 4 generation. That is just a fact. Now, I don't know whether, until Sony says it's not coming out this year, God of War and Horizon Forbidden West, I'm just going to assume they are coming out. But what I'm saying is God of War is going to go up against Halo, right?
Right.
And Forbidden West is going to go up against Starfield. And I'm sorry, my friends, that is what you call competition. And again, what feels like is happening. Are you all familiar with the old fable, pun very much intended, the tortoise and the hare?
Yeah.
Right? Everybody's like, Sony's Game of the Year, everything's great. We'll let the games do the talking. And just little by little, you see these moves that are being made. Now, I will say, as of today, Sony is fine. They have to keep doing what they're doing. However, you cannot sit there and rest on your laurels, because guess what? Microsoft is not done, right? So we can all acknowledge that Xbox needed Bethesda and Sony didn't. But now we're in a phase where Microsoft is looking at all of this. They're looking at the positive reaction. They're looking at the increased Game Pass numbers, which we'll probably hear about soon. They're looking at the general media. They're becoming a media darling again, right?
Yeah.
Slowly but surely, and people are begrudgingly doing it. But what happens is a lot of people, and you all know this, everyone makes these things, especially the media, a zero-sum game. So now Microsoft does this, even though Sony's fine, the media starts to look at Sony like, well, what are you doing? And Sony says, don't worry, we're going to do the same thing. And the media looks at them and says the same thing. That doesn't apply anymore, right? And so more and more what Xbox is doing is permeating into the public consciousness, and people are starting to catch on, the thing that we knew all this time. So I think Sony is fine at this moment today, but once Microsoft buys another publisher, they don't want to get to a place where they look up and they are surrounded, right? And I also want to say Sony did this to themselves in that they tried to lock Microsoft out of content. They tried to box them out of the game, right? They said, we're gonna buy all these exclusives, right? We are going to make all these second party deals because we make one kind of game really well. And by really well, I mean they are the best in the industry at what they do, but they do one thing, right? And they've relied on their first place position to prop them up with these second and third party deals. And we saw that happen in the 360 generation. But guess what? That only works when you are in first place. And I guarantee you, Outriders is a case study, right? Everyone knows how Avengers flopped. And Avengers is the most recognizable IP in the world.
I mean, right now the MCU is the hottest thing ever, right?
Right. And that flopped. And now what did they have? Like 500 players in there the other day?
It was bad. It was bad. Yeah.
And so what the industry is going to look at, all other publishers and studios, they're going to say, wait, how many players does Outriders have because it's in Game Pass? Because they're already seeing some of these numbers with Destiny, right? We're seeing Destiny average out 1 million players, right? And we're seeing half of that come from Xbox and PC, or maybe just Xbox, right? So the Xbox players are rivaling Sony, even though Sony allegedly outsold it 2.5 to 1, right? Why is that? That's Game Pass. And what people who are doing games as a service games are going to see, I need to be in there. We're getting to a place where you are losing money by not being in Game Pass. And that is a scary future for Sony. Now, let's all be clear. If Sony today adopted the day and date Game Pass model, I think they would have more subscribers than Xbox, right? Because if you said that you would get every one of Sony's first party bangers in a service, they would do that. The problem is, I don't know that Sony has the capital to do a service that may lose money for the first 5 years, right? I don't know that they can stand to lose that money while making more acquisitions, because guess what? The reason Microsoft is buying all these studios is because they know one day everybody's going to look at the money that they're making. Listen, I grew up in the Bronx, right? And there's something I noticed. Whenever you saw like a barbershop or a restaurant open, everybody around there would look at that barbershop or that restaurant and see how much money they were making. And they're like, I got to go open my own barbershop or restaurant. And a lot of the times they would do it across the street, which made no sense to me. But other publishers are going to look at what Microsoft is doing. Sony is going to look at it. And I think that Google and Amazon, their Luna and Stadia services were just POCs to offer to publishers. They never.
Hey, Everborn, do you mind if I add something to that?
Yeah, please do.
I was just gonna challenge you on that, just because haven't they tried to do it, but it hasn't been as successful as Game Pass? Now they're joining forces.
I actually have the numbers, dude, and the numbers are ridiculous. You know, I was gonna say, I was gonna save it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, well, let me give you the breakdown of what Sony's been up to. Okay, they launched PS Now in 2014, right? So we're in what year? We're in last time I checked, 2021. So that's a 7-year stretch, right? I'm no mathematician, but it's 7 years. In those 7 years, they have amassed 3 million subscribers. 7 years equates 3 million subscribers. Okay, so let's take a look at what Microsoft has been doing. They launched Xbox Game Pass in June of 2017. We're now 4 years later. 20 plus million subscribers.
But and why is that? That is day and date.
That's right. That's absolutely right.
And so my point is, had Sony adopted the Game Pass model, which means all of their first party stuff, Spider-Man, God of War, Horizon Zero Dawn, Final Fantasy VII Remake, if all of that was in a service that people could pay $15 a month for and they knew about it, you would see different numbers there. I'm just saying, I don't know that they
I agree with you. I agree with you completely. And that's where I go and say they got to find the money. I mean, Spider-Man Homecoming made them, a considerable amount of money compared to what it was developed for. It was in the millions.
They broke $1 billion with that film. They broke $1 billion,
and it cost them. We'll say hypothetically $700 million to make. They broke $1 billion. You still had $300+ million to play with. That's the problem. They have lost a huge part of their revenue because let's be honest, their TVs are not selling like Samsung and LGs. They're not. And Samsung and LG keep pushing themselves no matter what you say. They keep fighting with each other. And that's where we go and say, like, we love competition because you could buy an LG one day and tomorrow Samsung could announce a TV that's way better. You know what I'm saying? And that's like Samsung and Apple. You know what I mean? Same kind of thing. They push each other. And a lot of people don't realize that my iPhone 11 has a Samsung screen, for the love of God. So that's how good at they are at making screens. So I look at Samsung and I say, I want to buy a TV from you when you actually come out with something worth buying. Right now, LG's kicking your butt on the TV market. But Sony's just sitting here like, it is what it is. And they're not competing anymore. And, and that's what I feel like they're doing right now against Xbox. They're not competing. They think that their product is superior. And I get it. Your single player experiences are superior. But everybody forgets that there are so many people. Fortnite is still a thing, people. Okay, PUBG, still a thing. These are companies that don't even have a platform, for the love of God, and are making bank. And Fortnite's free to play. I mean, we're in a different realm as a race.
Hey, Crispy, you want to talk about races? What did they say? The first to 10 million wins, right?
Yeah.
But guess what? We're not talking about console sales anymore, right?
Nope.
The new metric is MAUs, monthly active users.
Yes.
How many millions does PlayStation now have versus Game Pass? The fight's done already.
Yeah.
The fight is fixed. It's over, right? So, this is my ultimate point. Sony is fine today, but they will only be fine as long as they continue to be on top. And I think the trouble that they face is that they cannot be reactive, right? They need to be proactive in the sense that you don't want to turn around when it's too late. You don't want to be an also ran when it comes to these streaming services, because every day and every announcement, Xbox is cementing itself as the game subscription service to have. More and more, it's not like everyone every day. How many times a day do you hear the word Game Pass, right? And how many times do we hear the comparison to Netflix, right? And how many people try to compete and have their own service after Netflix? The only one that seems to have been successful so far is Disney, right? And they have enough of a catalog to do that.
Yep.
But does Sony want to be the Disney Plus making $6 a month? or do they want to be the Netflix who is like at $18 a month right now, right? And again, Sony, this is not new. Sony as a company, and I think they do have a lot of money in the bank to make a large acquisition. I don't know how true this is, but if you Google Sony's cash on hand, they may have something like $40 billion with only like $9 billion of debt, right? You can look it up. Please, somebody correct me if I'm wrong. I just did a quick Google search. So if you're a financial expert, please let me know. That said, they could do this, but I don't think that that is their company philosophy. And everything they have done has been when they were forced to, right? Who really, aside from the Dreamcast, right? But we're not going to count that. Who brought us online gaming to the console world?
No, right? Xbox did, yeah.
Who brought us achievements which got cloned into trophies, which people pretend is the greatest thing ever, right? So who even the whole Xbox Live service, that's where PlayStation Plus came from, right? They have let Microsoft introduce these new concepts into the gaming industry, and then they've adopted them for their own. But this is one that takes long-term spending, and it is a long-term 5 to 10 year investment. And can Sony afford to make a bet that is that long? They're going to hold on to the traditional business model because it suits them as long as they can.
But I will say this: it's not just that it suits them; it's because they have to, because of your exact point. The long-term spending is a problem for them because, like I said, you have a total huge part of your ecosystem get destroyed by a pandemic. Now you have a problem. Okay.
Right. And listen, you're 100% right. And I just want to just bring up another point about problems. Mike Lowry in the chat said HBO Max is serious. It is serious, and I think that is probably what is closest to what Sony would look like, would be the comparison to Sony. Because I would say Disney plus the comparison is Nintendo. I think Sony would be more along the HBO Max comparison, and they are doing great things. They're getting ready to put out the Snyder Cut this weekend. They're doing day and date releases with their movie things, but guess what? No one is subscribing.
Yep.
It doesn't.
Yeah, well,
and when you enter too late, no one cares.
But you have to think about it this way. HBO is now owned by CBS, Viacom, whatever you want to call it.
HBO is
AT&T owns HBO. AT&T bought them.
Okay.
Yeah.
So here's the problem. Here's the problem I have. They're investing in one aspect and not the other. And for this period of time, they're investing in their streaming aspect. So that's fine. That's them, taking a game like Mortal Kombat, for example, using that revenue to invest into another aspect, like the Snyder Cut, like having, all these other movies that are going to come out through them. Sony's just sitting here telling us that gaming is where they're at, but they're not acting like it. And that's where it scares me. It scares me a little bit.
A sense of urgency is what they need, so they can stay. If they want to stay on the point where they're, sitting on their heels and not quite being arrogant, but they have such a group of people behind them who support them, and they sell all these consoles, but they don't have that pioneering urgency to even stay, hand in hand if it keeps going at the same rate, which is what I think they need.
Right. Yeah, now, I got to ask a question for everybody quickly. Where does this fit in? They made a partnership with Microsoft's Azure cloud servers. So what is that all about now? Now we're talking about I'm listening to everybody on the panel here. We're talking about, traditionalism and everything, myself included. I agree with that as well. Saying that, that for the time being, that's all they can really do, because they can't turn that big ship that quickly. And all of a sudden, we're just doing Game Pass. They're not going to do that. But they did invest in the Azure, and they made a partnership with the Azure cloud servers. So what is their plan? Because wasn't it it wasn't Sony, it was the PlayStation division, was it not?
Yes.
Or am I missing? Okay. So
Yes.
what the hell's going on? What are they up to?
PlayStation Studios will be streamed to wherever you want to play it. That's my thought process. And that's
now, are they going to adjust their Sorry, go ahead, brother.
I'm not saying that it's going to happen today, tomorrow. The problem is that I see too much consolidation. I see a lot of revenue streams that they used to have. They're eliminating because it's not enough revenue. And on top of that, they did this a long time ago and said, PlayStation Studios. Why did they do that? There's no reason to rebrand.
Well, because they rebranded the name. They made the partnership with Azure Cloud Servers. Now the thing is, does this beg the question? I know it's I'm just kind of like putting this out there, but like, does it beg the question now? Is do they start following that business model that Microsoft is doing and not start charging $80 per game?
Well, they've already started doing that because, you look at Destruction All-Stars as an example. You look at Astrobot. Astrobot's a full game, and they didn't charge anything for it. So they're already starting that. The problem is it too little too late? That's the weird thing because they're being nonchalant about it. They're not being like, oh, you can get this here. Like, we're used to Sony marketing be like in your face, like, here you go. You know what I'm saying? And I feel like they're just sitting there like, oh, what do we do? Rather, because at this point, being a PlayStation gamer into an Xbox gamer and seeing the way both of them played, they kind of play in the same game right now. Right. And the only thing is it's one's doing one thing and one's doing another. And right now, Xbox with the Series X, most powerful console, they have all of these studios. They have just confirmed Bethesda. Bethesda has better marketing than a lot of other even gaming consoles themselves. And the only outlier is Nintendo because Nintendo cannot advertise shit and people love it. They don't have to say a damn word and they love it because you know what? It eats at your heart. No matter if you're somebody that played Nintendo back in the day or you just started playing it, you play one of their games that's really good, that may be an old port or something, and you're going to love it.
Okay, now how about this, Crispy? Hang on a second. You said, Nintendo likes to pull on the heartstrings, and you literally just said it eats at your heart. But if you look at the two business models between Sony and Xbox, Sony is eating your wallet.
Yeah, I agree.
You know what I'm saying? So, that's when it's going to come into play with the casual market who doesn't care. They don't care.
There is going to come a point where listen, folks, we're still in a pandemic. We're not out of a pandemic just because there are shots that you can get. A lot of people aren't getting vaccinated. This thing ain't going away for a while, right? People lost their jobs. Money is tight for a lot of people, even if you didn't lose your job. And the bottom line is Sony did something stupid and they duped the fan base into paying $70. And you know what? I paid $70 for Spider-Man and Miles Morales because I wanted both games because I was going to platinum both games. But all the other games I bought from, except for Demon's Souls, which I don't know why I bought it because I suck at it. Everything else I got on sale. I paid half price. And I don't think I will ever pay full boat for a Sony game that's $70 outside of like a God of War or Horizon Forbidden West, because Horizon is one of my favorite IPs that they have. But the bottom line is there is going to come a point that even the Nintendo fan base or the Sony fan base or both are going to have to stop and take a look at what's going on at Microsoft, because you cannot deny what $15 a month gets you. It's almost obscene, the amount of games that you're right now.
I don't even know what game to play, Boom. I mean,
dude, I don't know who was it the other day. They said that there is currently 331 games.
No, 73. That was me.
Oh, there you go.
So, you know what this is going to be? This is going to be a renaissance in gaming. I know it sounds ridiculous, but it's going to be a renaissance in gaming. And, once again, when Microsoft, for the last 20 years, and I believe it was Everborn who said it, we're talking about like, who was the first? to start, doing this besides the Dreamcast, talking about the online and everything else and all the other advancements. And we talked about it last week too. Same thing with Xbox On, and everybody laughed their asses off, right? All of a sudden, 5 years later, Alexa, turn my lights on. Microsoft takes that big step forward, and everybody thinks it's a big step in a pile of doo-doo, but it's not, because that's what happens when you're a trailblazer. And what they're doing here, okay, trailblazers always take the most amount of heat. It's just like when you're the eldest kid in the family. Who gets the most crap? The eldest kid in the family, right? And this is what's happening here. Microsoft pushed forward. Everybody laughed. No one's laughing now, okay? And by the way, I'm saying this thing from like, I'm not a fanboy, okay? I'm not any of that kind of stuff, all right? I got my PlayStation 5. The Empire State Building staring at me right now. I'm going to play Days Gone after the show. But anyways, let me tell you something. Xbox is now leading the charge, and you know what's going to happen? There's going to be a financial renaissance, and I think that, just like Boom said, this pandemic is going to reshape. I think it was a lucky break that that they're pushing the Game Pass thing, and obviously it's much more affordable for people. And then all of a sudden, this pandemic happened. So I mean, that just kind of the stars kind of just came together. But the thing is, they're pushing this forward, and Boom is 100% right that Nintendo and Sony are going to eventually completely that's what I was talking about during my little spiel, is they're going to have to completely reinvent themselves, or as Everborn said, they're done. They're dead. You know what I'm saying? You got to evolve or die.
The only thing I'd add, Mag, is Nintendo does what the fuck Nintendo wants.
I know they do, but eventually
are immune to everything we're talking about. This is
eventually Everborn. Come on, man. Eventually, something's got to give.
They sold you cardboard, Mag. Cardboard.
I get it, but you know who buys Nintendo more than anybody besides like the 40-year-old guys and 50-year-old guys, like guys our age, right? You know who else buys them? Parents.
Yeah,
and those parents don't have jobs right now. And so, not all of them, but a lot of them are sitting at home. And a lot of people are collecting CERB, or what do you guys call down there? Stimulus checks and all that kind of stuff, right?
Yeah.
That's what's happening right now. Ain't nobody buying cardboard for $100 in the middle of this pandemic. I'm telling you now, they are going to have to reinvent themselves. Mario number 865 is going to have to wait, or it's going to have to wait to go on sale 10 years from now, and you'll get $5 off. You know what I'm saying? But like, I'm telling you, and it's not because I have a dislike for Nintendo. I mean, I grew up with Nintendo, for crying out loud. However, I'm just thinking that their antiquated business styles are going to be extinct, and they better get on board. Otherwise, they're not going to capture the North American, European market.
Listen.
I said that about gaming online, right? Like, Nintendo is just something different. That's all I'm saying.
Now, I mean, listen. I think Nintendo they do march to their own drum beat. There's no doubt about it. Obviously, we had heard earlier that the Switch was going to release this holiday. Turns out that in fact is not the case. It's probably going to be March of 2022, which makes sense. That would be the 50th year anniversary of the original Switch, and of course they could then release Breath of the Wild 2, and it would be just like the Switch 1 with Breath of the Wild 1 all over again. You can have a 1-to-1. But in regards to whether or not Sony is going to allow Game Pass, I'm going to get to that question because we are really pressed for time. It's literally almost a 2-hour show, but I got to catch up some of these bomb super chats. First of all, a very good friend of the show, good friend of this community, Predator H2O drops a very generous $10 super chat. Hey, Predator, I hope you are well and the family is doing good. He says this: Microsoft can push out 7 AAA exclusives and a few AA per year, plus all of the games as a service updates. Sony can only push out 2 to 3 per year. Sony cannot keep up with the volume, especially only doing single player games. That is very, very true. And as we cross 700 people here, folks, please hit that like button. Definitely appreciate that. Dan Lazaro drops a very generous $5 super chat and an additional $5 super chat. Thanks, Dan. Definitely appreciate that. He says Xbox equals Netflix and PlayStation equals Blockbuster. $70 for one game of $15 for hundreds of games. That isn't even a choice. And I Can't argue that.
The worst part is Blockbuster could have bought Netflix. So.
Isn't that crazy?
It's crazy.
Isn't that crazy? Nightwolf 3186, good friend and generous friend of the show. He drops an outstanding $10 super chat and says, great show once again, Boom and panel. I have to say, if Game Pass eventually makes its way to Switch, I'll be a happy camper. Also, Ubisoft Plus and having Division 2, a great looter shooter for Game Pass. Listen, folks, that Ubisoft Plus thing is happening soon. Infinite AA, good friend of the show. He drops an outstanding $20 super chat. Wow, dude, thank you for your generosity. He says, PlayStation Now has never been as good as Xbox Game Pass. PlayStation Plus is now only starting the best XBLG in the past year or two. We'll be talking about this on the Sony debacle with game streaming on our podcast, BIA Gamecast. It's the YouTube channel on Wednesday. Hey, listen, Infinite, why don't we do this, brother? Why don't you DM me? Let's get you on one of our shows and we can properly push your channel and get everyone out there. So definitely listen, folks. He's a good friend of the show and a good friend of the community. Head over to BIA Gamecast on YouTube and give that dude a subscribe to his channel and check out their show coming up this Wednesday. They're going to be talking about the Sony debacle and what it means to the industry. Hype and Eyes drops a very generous $10 super chat and says, loving my new Xbox wireless headset. Oh my God, dude, I'm so jealous. Mine should be here tomorrow. It's getting rave reviews. And listen, I have it. We're going to be talking about on tomorrow's Xbox One-on-One. They basically, one of the reviews I read said it's a mic drop moment for Microsoft accessories. So I cannot wait. But before we get on out of here, I don't want to make it short, but I want people to give their point. Do you see Sony bending the knee and allowing Xbox Game Pass on PlayStation 5? And I'll answer first. And the answer is absolutely not. Because Jim Ryan is a very arrogant man. I don't know him personally, but he's very prideful. He did a lot of great work when he was head of Sony in Europe. And that's the reason why they were 5-1 sales. He was very aggressive. And I just don't see him saying, it's like admitting defeat. Me personally, if you were to see, now I know Phil Spencer would love to have him to have Jim Ryan sign that check, but I just don't see it happening. I just do not see a day where you turn on your PlayStation 5 and right there is Xbox Game Pass. I think it would be a sign of defeat, in my opinion. And I think Sony would never allow it because they have their own service. I mean, it's a poor service, sure. It's not even close to what Xbox Game Pass is. And maybe they're going to change it. I don't know. But I want to go to Crispy Bomb. Do you think that Sony allows Xbox Game Pass as an app on their service?
Once Nintendo does it, yes, they will.
Okay.
I'm not talking like right now. It's not going to be within 5 years, I would say. Unless somebody taps Jim Ryan on the shoulder and says, it might be about that time. Let's keep the people that we want on our PlayStation. Because at this point, Xbox has just got this one thing that is just too good to be true. And for me, as an old school gamer that has spent $60 on nearly every game I've ever purchased, to have all of these games, including, which I said to Boom, Dishonored, which I never played, and I said, I'm playing this. You know what I mean? I've never played this game because I was caught up in Fallouts and everything else, and these games came out, and it falls to the wayside. And I'm just like, this is a new game to me. Like, yes, does it look great? No. But the preservation that Xbox also does brings the value to some of these quote unquote old games that people like to bring up. So an old game to you is something you've already played. I get that completely. But you got your Dirt 5s, you got your Outriders here. They're going to.
PS5, by the way, in Xbox Game Pass, and my favorite game of 2020. Dude, it's so good. It is obscenely good.
And it's crazy because some people are like me who refuse to buy a new Madden and this and that, and you have that for your $15 subscription. And that's where I go and say Ubisoft is probably going to go in because, you know, we saw that Watch Dogs Legions and Valhalla are marketed through Xbox. So I feel like anything marketed through Xbox is going to be in Game Pass at some point. Might not be exactly where you think it's going to be, but it's going to be there. And you're going to pay your subscription. And if you haven't played it, it's technically an old game. But guess what? It's new to you. Yeah. And that's my whole point. They are going to do it at some point, and it's going to be hard for them to swallow. But at this point, with the amount of subscriptions and the amount of games that you just got, you know Outriders is coming to Game Pass day and date on what, April 1st? I think that's what it is.
Yeah, April 1st. Yes.
Yes. Correct. April 1st. So are they gonna pull a BS April Fool's joke, or are they gonna give it to you?
No, they actually said that in the press release. This is no April Fool's joke. They actually did say that.
Yeah, so there you go. On top of that, you have 20 Bethesda games that, like myself, you have not played, are in Game Pass immediately the day after they did the roundtable. I was just enamored because I haven't played so many of these games because I was caught up in my own damn thing that I was like, wow, this is just ridiculous. I even told Boom, I was like, dude, I might have to like shut my chat down so I could actually play these games, because half the time, you know, I'm in the Xbox, everybody's like, hey, join a party. Hey, play this game, play that game, which is multiplayer, by the way. Okay. Hundreds of people at any given time could hit me up, and I'm going to go and play a multiplayer game with them because we love competition. That's the point. That's why Fortnite still has millions of people playing it. They love competition, and it's free to play.
Yeah, no, I mean you're absolutely right, and that's really what it comes down to. I mean, the competition is really going to drive whether or not we do see it show up in there. Let me get Cotton's opinion on this. Cotton, is there a day that you see in the future that Jim Ryan bends the knee and allows Xbox Game Pass onto PlayStation Now?
Yeah, I mean, I'm gonna sit in the camp that is, you know, never say never. People said Sony would never ever allow crossplay, and they do. You know, they said they would never let Xbox Live Service go on there like they did with Minecraft. So, you know, do I think it's going to be soon? No. I think eventually it's possible. I think it'd be kind of personally, I see it kind of coming down to being like a quid pro quo situation where it's like, does Microsoft, obviously we know it's all about software sales and subs to their service, but do they really want to just put Game Pass onto PlayStation to where they can have that stupid narrative of like, oh, well, they already say none of these games are exclusive because they go to PC. So now I don't have to, I'll just have my PlayStation and have Game Pass. Like, what is the point at all? You know, hardware sales aren't as important these days, but they still are important, and they want to sell their hardware. You know, that's why they have 2 SKUs of consoles in the first place, because they know that,
and potentially a third one, which we're going to be talking about tomorrow. Yeah,
I think that it could definitely happen. I just think maybe it comes with a situation where it's like, okay, we'll give you something and you give us something, and how far down the road that goes, you know, remains to be seen. But I would definitely never say never when it comes to something like that. I think there's bigger potential for it to be on Switch sooner, and then, like Crispy said, follow suit. I mean, just imagine, as far as like Game Pass goes with cloud gaming, being able to play that on your Switch is just a whole nother level. Then it's exactly what they would want, as opposed to someone booting up and playing on their phone, which is really cool. It's just a little bit more novelty and not as great of an experience as it could be as having something like a Switch do it, you know? So
yeah,
I think, and there's other people are saying, if the PlayStation 5 has a web browser, then could they go to Game Pass through that anyways? Some stuff like that. People, I know that on Xbox 2, Jez and Rand were going on about with the new Microsoft Edge that's on the Xbox right now, or I think it's in the alpha skip ahead ring for the Xbox insiders. Pretty much you can boot up Steam through there and play Horizon Zero Dawn because it's on Steam on your Xbox. It's a little bit of loophole you're going through, but you're kind of already seeing these sort of things play out, and to have it be official and just have the app there, and they want the app everywhere. You see it coming to TVs soon. I think to say that it will never happen, that's not where I'm going to lay my bed, but I don't see it being an immediate thing at all.
I think Sony's back would have to be to the wall. If you saw another major publisher / developer go to Microsoft, let's say again, we don't know. We know Square Enix, Capcom, Ubisoft, some Sega. I think there's going to come a point where eventually Sony's going to have to take notice. Again, they need to do something over there to garner subscription services. Jim Ryan talked about at the end of 2020 that there was something big coming for PS Now and PlayStation Plus. I think they're going to merge the two, charge you $60 a year, and you get everything under one umbrella. Is that enough? I don't think it is, but we don't know. Let's get Clowns. Clowns, what are your thoughts on this? The question of the day is, does Xbox Game Pass eventually find its way to a PlayStation?
I think so, Boom. And the reason why I say that is because eventually it's going to get to a point where Xbox is going to have so many studios under its belt and so many AAA titles under its belt that have fans across all consoles that it's going to starve Sony until Sony begs for Game Pass on their system. Is it going to happen with Jim Ryan at the top? I don't think so. Maybe when somebody else comes in or they convince Jim Ryan, maybe a lot of pressure on him. But eventually, if Xbox starves PlayStation from some of these AAA titles, where are PlayStation gamers going to go? They're going to go on the Xbox ecosystem. They're going to go get an Xbox. I mean, they're not going to be playing on their PS5 as much, and that's bad news for Sony, because if they start playing in other places, they're going to start building an ecosystem in other places and slowly leave Sony behind eventually. I mean, we're going to see it happen, so they're going to have to do this to save their fan base.
Yeah, no, I agree. I mean, listen, I'll say this. If you're a PlayStation owner, I don't think that they abandon the console because PlayStation has their AAA bangers. And no one's going to want to not play the Days Gone 2, God of War 2, Horizon Forbidden West, and whatever else they have around their sleeve. I mean, there's going to probably be a new Uncharted by Naughty Dog. Who's not going to want to play that? But I think what you're going to, I've been calling this for quite some time, this is going to be the biggest dual console generation when you talk about Sony and Xbox consoles in the history of gaming, because again, there's a $300 console that you can get, and the day you bring it home, you get Game Pass in that box, and you have access to 373 games the minute you open you put your system on. There's just no denying it, and I think that if Microsoft continues this route of adding studios and developers, I don't know how long Sony's going to be able to sit there and not take notice or do something about it. Cybernox, let's get your opinion. Do you actually see Sony bending the knee and allowing Xbox Game Pass app on their console?
Me personally, I think there's no way in hell they
would. Yeah, I'm right there with you. I'm right there with you.
If there is, it's a 1% chance, let's say. I think there's a bigger chance of them replicating the service as Game Pass is now, which means day and date, everything that they're doing now. Because if you think about it, they have PS Now has a lot of crossover games that sometimes go on Game Pass as well. So how would they work that out? Maybe if one thing that I will say is we haven't heard what the next big Microsoft acquisition is for Xbox, and they said it was going to be Bethesda level. So that could, also, put Sony, against the wall a little bit. but I would say no way. What Clown said, I think Jim Ryan is probably the guy that would actually greenlight this. He was their CFO, so he understands all the money and the revenue that he needs to generate for that company. But I think it's a very low chance. If there is a way for Game Pass to go on that, they would have to. It would have to be like a Game Pass Lite, which probably would be just like the Xbox exclusives and whatever, third party and things like that will probably, because Xbox Game Pass on PC and on console are different at times, right? So you could get some games on PC that you can't naturally get on console. So if they can work a deal like that out, maybe, like I said, very low chance. I think Sony and Jim Ryan will probably go the day and date route and try to replicate Game Pass the way it is now before they'll even bend the knee to Xbox Game Pass on their service.
Yeah, no, I think I agree with that. I think they're definitely closer.
Yeah, that's a good point.
Yeah, that's a fantastic point. Mag, let's get your opinion on this.
Yes,
Does
sir.
Sony bend the knee and allow Game Pass, the app, onto their PlayStation Network, or is this a no-go for them?
No, absolutely not. This is not happening. And there's a couple of reasons why. For one is the obvious reason why. Sony hasn't even really started the generation yet. You know that they're slow. They're slow out of the gate. Everybody knows this. However, I personally think that the PlayStation 5 launch has been their best launch I've seen in 2 generations.
Yeah,
to be
I
quite
agree.
honest. Because I got my PS5. Okay, there's a couple of games I was playing from the PS4 which I didn't get to, like Days Gone. I went back and played Last of Us 2 and Ghost of Tsushima with the upgrades and stuff, and God of War, same deal. But they also launched with Miles Morales, and they launched with Demon Souls and stuff, and then Sackboy as well. So there was a pretty amazing launch. However, their big guns haven't even shown up yet.
Right.
And let's also face it, guys. I mean, I know that it's not about console sales anymore, but you can't also ignore. I know there are a lot of fluff fluff pieces in the media that is saying that the PS5 is the fastest selling console in American history. Anyhow, right? And so they're selling. Okay, so that means there are people out there that's obviously going to sell extremely well. They're going to do well, and they haven't even released the big games yet. Now, their problem is Game Pass going to end up on PlayStation, which it will not. This is all going to keep going back to what we were talking about from 2 hours ago. It's going to go back to the same thing. Is they're going to have to change their business model in terms of their software. And that's what they're going to have to do. And they're going to have to evolve and change everything. So maybe it's not going to be exactly like Game Pass, but they're going to have to do something that is certainly financially feasible, or more financially feasible, for a lot of customers out there who are seeing that Game Pass model going, what the hell are you guys doing? Well, look at these guys. Look at this awesome thing they're doing over here at Xbox. What are you guys doing? And they're like, well, we have amazing experiences. I'm like, yeah, but I can get 4 months of Game Pass for one game that you're selling me over there. Yeah. Right? So that's where it's going to come down to. As for Game Pass, not a chance in hell. Once again, to answer the question, it is never going to make its way into the Sony ecosystem or in the PlayStation ecosystem ever, because that's going to go directly against. Can you imagine the red tape around who gets what gets where, who gets how much money depending on engagement on which console and which system? Can you imagine the disaster?
Yeah, it sounds like a bean counter's nightmare.
Yeah, like forget it. It's not going to happen, guys. It's not going to happen.
I have to disagree.
Damn it, Crispy.
You know why I have to disagree? Because I have said this before. Nintendo has a niche, okay? And their problem is they don't have the ability to really put out a great experience, not necessarily game, a great experience with these AAA third-party bangers. And the one thing that Xbox keeps adding or has continued to support is games on their console themselves, like an Outer Worlds, like,
all right,
you know what I'm saying? So they continue to, Ori's on there, Cuphead. They continue to support their games on their console. And the one thing that we always say about, the Switch as of now, I mean, we all believe that a Pro is going to come out, is that there is issues in running these games. And the one thing that could subsidize that is the cloud. And if you're going to allow Xbox to help you, which we've actually heard that they're helping them already.
Yeah, they are.
Why not allow them to take these games? You don't have no Gears on no Nintendo Switch. These people don't even know what the hell Gears is if they're a hardcore Nintendo fan that love your Marios, your Zeldas, everything else. All you care about is oh, I can actually experience that. Oh, wait, but I got to pay $15 a month to Xbox. That's what way Xbox thinks. They don't care. I'll tell you right now, if PlayStation brought out an app that could go on Xbox, Xbox would allow it at this point. And that's the weird thing. That's where I go and say Xbox doesn't care. They already have their hands in all the cookie jars. And you go and look at what Phil had on his shelves, and I'll tell you right now, next thing is going to be Switch at some point. And you're going to be like, say what? They really did that? But Nintendo doesn't care because you know what? Xbox ain't making a Zelda, bro. That's the whole point. People are still going to buy their games. They are still going to buy them. And it's not going to be on the Game Pass app. The Game Pass app is to make your Outer Worlds run at least 30 frames per second instead of 10.
Yeah. Well,
you know what I'm saying?
Well, you know what? Let me get to Everborn and get everyone out of here. You made great points, Crispy. Can't argue that. And I think you're right. I think that if it is going to go somewhere, it's probably going to be Nintendo first. They have a good relationship with Nintendo. That would not surprise me, though. I don't know if every game that Xbox has in Game Pass would go over there. I think it would be a select few to start until they could figure out what the hell they're doing with their system, because they need the Azure servers. And I don't know if they're working on with them to do that. Everborn, let's get your opinion on this. Does Jim Ryan bend the knee? And do we see Xbox Game Pass on PlayStation, or do they adapt their own service to basically challenge what Microsoft is doing?
I think by the end of the generation, you'll see it. And
I think
I don't think it's today. I don't think it's this year. I don't think it's next year. I don't even think it's 5 years from now. But I think we're going to get to a place where it is unavoidable, right? And just to talk about Nintendo for a second, I think that could be the best decision Nintendo ever made, right? If they put Game Pass on there. Imagine if you had xCloud on an actual ergonomic device that's dedicated to gaming, not your phone. Like, and on that same thing, you could get Mario and Zelda, right? That is, I think, the next move that I think we'd all love to see. Now, as far as Sony goes, again, what do they do when Game Pass, because I believe it will be by the end of this generation, 100 million subscribers? Are they going to be able to ignore that?
No, I don't think
so. So the thing is, it's going to be like, listen, people are going to want the value that Game Pass provides. And if they're going to buy your console to get your exclusives, they're also going to need what's in Game Pass, right? So, and I also do believe that by the end of the generation, we will see, I don't think they can call it PlayStation Now. I think that brand is dead. I think they're going to have to call it something else and pretend that they invented it. And a lot of people will believe that, but they need to rebrand PlayStation Now, go the day and date model. And I think that will happen by the end of the generation. And I think they know that's going to happen. And that's why they're milking every last dollar out of the old model before they have to make that move. So again, predictions by the end of the generation. The first domino to fall is 50 million subscribers. I think after 50 million, I think you see the Switch come on board. I think after 100 million, you see PlayStation come on board, because at that point it might be, if they don't switch up what they're doing, it might be too late, right? And the last thing is, I think that what's it called? I think what you'll see on the PlayStation and on the Switch are streaming versions of. It's just going to be xCloud. right?
Yeah, I agree.
It's going to be the same app that you get on the TV. And it's going to be like, if you want the best experience, you want to play locally, then you come over to the series.
Buy the hardware. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Right. But if you want to stream the game on PlayStation, cool, you can do that. And I think everybody wins that way. And again, as of this moment, it seems like Sony is fighting the last war.
Yeah. Well, I mean,
listen,
listen,
if you're fighting the last war, if you're fighting World War II and we in World War III, you're not gonna win. We got drones now.
yeah, well, listen, that's a great analogy, but folks, we're over 2 hours, 2 hours and 15 minutes to be exact, and this has been one hell of a show. This has been a fire-powered show. We had over 700 people here, which is incredible. Of course, the last super chat comes in from CYV Studios. He drops a $5 super chat and says, "What about when someone buys a TV to play on their new PlayStation 5 and they will find a surprise Game Pass app? Boom. Best marketing for Game Pass, $15 a month for over 300 games." Yeah, I mean, that's going to become standard. As a matter of fact, I have a feeling that it's going to be advertised heavily on these TVs boxes. You know, when you go to buy a TV and you see all the different apps, Microsoft is going to pay Samsung and LG a significant amount of money to have that app front and center. So when you bring home your TV, all you need is a wireless controller, which may even come with the TV. You don't even know at this point. Right. And they say, okay, you can play Game Pass, just sign in. And by the way, because, you know, a lot of these TVs come with like these deals, 6 months of Game Pass for free. I mean, it's crazy. But let's get to the outros. Crispy Bomb, tell everyone where they can reach out to you on social media. But more importantly, what other shows are you on?
Oh, man, it was a great conversation. I love the tit for tat, but at the end of the day, we all agree on something. Games got to be played, people.
Yes.
I mean, jeez. You know, but at Crispy Bomb on Twitter, Crispy Bomb 28, Xbox Live. Find me on Retro Renegade, 7 p.m. Tuesday nights. You can also find me on the next podcast this Thursday, 8 p.m. And, of course, I'll be back on with Boom. Breakfast with Boom, 10 a.m. Fridays.
Yeah, well, thanks so much for being here, brother. Definitely appreciate that. And Cotton McCast, tell everyone about where they can reach out to you on social media and what else you got going on.
Oh, appreciate that. You can reach out to me on Twitter, Cotton McCast, same name there. Hit me up in the DMs, whatever. Hopefully I'll be around here more often. Maybe get something going in the works with Cybernox and his channel. You know, who knows? Other than that, I'm looking forward to sniping some more fools in the next round of our Halo tournament we got going on. If you want to play some Halo or anything else, you can add me on Xbox Live at Terry Fold if we have any Rick and Morty viewers out there. That's my game tag. Appreciate it.
Thanks, brother. Definitely appreciate that. And Cybernox, tell everyone about where they can reach out to you on social media, but more importantly, subscribe to your YouTube channel.
Yeah, guys, always a pleasure being here on Mondays. Cybernox on Twitter, Xbox, everywhere, you know, Steam, wherever there's gaming involved, Cybernox everywhere. Also on my secondary channel, Xbox Game Pass Club. That's where we play all games on that's, you know, on Game Pass at random, and then we discuss them, kind of like a book club but for gaming, and then we discuss them at the end. So yeah, if you're interested in any of those, just check me out, or, you know, send me a message and we can talk about them. But yep, thanks. Another great show tonight.
Thanks, brother. Definitely appreciate that. Mag, why don't you tell us about what you got going on, what other shows you're a part of, and more importantly, where can people reach out and strike up a conversation on social media?
Well, yeah, everybody, thank you for a great show tonight. Cotton Crispy, as always, great guest, guys. And chat, you guys are awesome, as always. Yes, you can find me on Twitter at the Middle Age Game Guy. That's with a GY at the end. On the PlayStation 5 and the Xbox Series X, you can find me at all one word, all capitals, because I don't know how to be quiet. I am the Meg. So you can follow me there. Send me a DM anytime, any place. Anyhow, you can find me here every Monday evening at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on Primetime Gaming with Mr. Boomstick XL and friends. And tomorrow night, every Tuesday, 10 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, you can find me with none other than Noof Nukem and Titan Drago on Gaming After Dark. So, guys, it was a great show. I already look forward to next week. Let's see if Microsoft could drop 9 or 10 more bombs on us before the next show. Everybody have a great night.
Yeah, and speaking of which, Noof Nukem is going to be on Friday morning's Breakfast with Boom. I cannot wait for that to hear what Noof has got going on. And Everborn Saga. Do me a favor, brother. Tell everyone about what you got going on with the Everborn Saga, your Kickstarter, and where could people reach out to you and strike up a conversation?
Yeah, man, I am Everborn Saga everywhere. Steam, PlayStation, Xbox, Twitter, and everbornsaga.com. And that's the important one because that's where you can get introduced to the Everborn Saga. It is an interconnected series. We're sort of making the MCU of fantasy anime, right? So it's different stories and they all sort of intertwine with each other. We've got a Kickstarter going on right now for our newest series, Ariel's Adventure. Prince of Arcadia you can get right now at everbornsaga.com, but check out that Kickstarter. It's at the link right at the top of everbornsaga.com. I think you are going to really like what you see. We hit our goal, but we're working on hitting our stretch goal so that we can release the first Everborn novel. It's about 220 pages, straight fantasy novel, and it really fleshes out the universe of Everborn. So I think you're going to want to check that out. So help us get there. And I just want to thank everybody for being here. And especially, let's just thank Phil and the good folks at Xbox, because I don't know if they knew this, right? Boom, I know you got some connections over there, but Primetime Gaming happens to be Monday, and they drop all their news on Monday. And I just want to thank them for that, for giving us some great topics to talk about every freaking Monday. So
now you have raised ears and eyebrows of the potential of Microsoft, throwing some bones to the primetime gaming guys each and every Monday.
We're in cahoots.
We might very well be, and I'll write them. I'm writing the check as we speak. But listen, folks, this has been a great show. Hopefully, you enjoyed it enough to hit the like button. If you are new, consider subscribing. And of course, I want to thank all the super chats. And there was a lot of them today. Thank you so much for the generosity that continues to come in each and every show. I mean, what can I say? I'm humbled beyond words. I don't do this for the money. I do this for the love of this community and the love of gaming. And you guys just bless me each and every show. And I really, from the bottom of my heart, thank you so much. You don't understand how that does, in fact, help grow this channel. I'm able to get new equipment. I'm able to do giveaways, which you did some big ones last year, and we're going to do again this year. So thank you for that. But I'm going to close out the show with something that's important to me. Hopefully one day it'll be important to you. And that's something that my dad told me when we were kids. And I think now more than ever, it's super important. He said this: son, treat others how you want to be treated. And also, it doesn't cost anything to be nice. You live by those rules, and I can guarantee you're going to have an awesome day. So take care, everyone. We'll see you next week on the newest episode of Primetime Gaming with Xbox and Friends. Take care, everybody.